Summary. Naruto is neglected by his parents, but what if he had the powers of Aizen from Bleach? With his powerful illusion, Naruto goes on to become godlike. Chapter 1 Prologue. No one stands on the top of the world. Not you, not me, not even gods. But the unbearable vacancy of the throne in the sky is over. From now on, I will be sitting on it. Susuke Aizen. Oh hi, my name is Uzumaki Naruto, and this is my story. Yes, let's start with the story of my clan, the Uzumaki clan. Let's open a history book about the Uzumaki clan. I'll look for it for a moment. Well, let's read it. The Uzumaki clan, known for its expertise in Fuinjutsu and its large chakra capacity. Unfortunately, my chakra capacity is very small. As a half Uzumaki, I am not skilled in Fuinjutsu because the place I was raised to become a shinobi— oh no, I don't call the place I was raised home. That would be pathetic if you know my life there. That can be explained later. Back to the topic. Yes, in the place I was raised, there were no Fuinjutsu experts. They preferred ninjutsu and taijutsu. Back to the Uzumaki clan. Many say the Uzumaki clan doesn't have a Kekkei Genkai. Many also say their Fuinjutsu skills and their large chakra capacity are their Kekkei Genkai. Yes, that's right, the Uzumaki clan has a Kekkei Genkai. No, not the pathetic Kekkei Genkai that people talk about. This Kekkei Genkai is rare. Just like the Senju clan's Mokuton, which can only be used by the Shodai Hokage, Hashirama Senju, and the Uchiha clan's Manjikyu Sharingan, which can only be used by a few people. So far, I only know of 2 people who have activated this Kekkei Genkai. Me and the founder of the Uzumaki clan, Uzumaki Yamamoto. Are you getting more curious? Okay, I'll tell you. This Kekkei Genkai is called Zanpakuto, a sword. Don't be disappointed. This sword is not an ordinary sword. This sword is a manifestation of the user's soul. Zanpakuto is a part of the user's soul. Each Zanpakuto has different powers. Their powers are only unlocked when the user successfully activates Shurkai. Yes, Shurkai is the initial release, the true form of Zanpakuto. How should I explain it? Shurkai is the initial release, or first release. Using Shurkai means unlocking the power of the Zanpakuto by saying the name of the Zanpakuto. Like an Uchiha activating the Sharingan. Yes, then there is the second release or final release, Bankai. I am the second person who successfully activated Shurkai and Bankai. The first person? Of course, Uzumaki Yamamoto with his Zanpakuto, Ryujin Jaka. Yes, if anyone asks, Yamamoto is dead, why didn't anyone steal his Zanpakuto? We're not the pathetic 7 swordsmen of the mist who must pass our swords on to the next wielder or bury them with us. No, if we die, our Zanpakuto also die, as they are part of our souls. That's all for now about the Uzumaki clan. Let me introduce you to my Zanpakuto, Kyoka Suijetsu. Isn't it beautiful? I'll take that as a sign of approval. Let's take a look at my story and my curse. Before you hear my story, let's take a look at my name in the bingo book during my heyday. Uzumaki Naruto / the illusionist / the reality twister / blah 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 and other nicknames. I do have a lot of nicknames. And the nickname I admire the most is Konoha's greatest traitor surpassing Madara and Orochimaru. Cool, isn't it? Rank? SSS, flee on sight. The second shinobi to get triple S rank. First, of course, my partner Madara Uchiha. A partner? Yes, I've partnered with him. Statistic? Ninjutsu S. Taijutsu A. Kenjutsu SS. Fuinjutsu SS. Genjutsu SSSS. The glory days. Yes, I don't really like ninjutsu and taijutsu because those are commonplace for a ninja. I'm more of a master using Fuinjutsu and Genjutsu. I'm also the first Genjutsu user to get SSSS rank in Genjutsu. Because of Genjutsu, I'm also known as the illusionist. I like illusions. Why? Because I can trick your eyes. Manipulating reality. You can see me in front of you, when in fact I'm behind you. I can trick your sense of smell. I can inflict pain on you without touching you. Amazing, isn't it? That's Genjutsu. Yes, the reason I like Genjutsu also has an influence on my childhood, which was apathetic. I can tell you about my childhood later. Back to the topic. Criminal record? Interesting. You can see it later. Let's talk a little about me. How about I introduce myself again? My name is Uzumaki Naruto. Currently I am in the international prison created by the 5 shinobi nations, I am in the deepest prison here. Ah yes, this prison is also provided for S-rank international criminals. Let's continue. My favorite? Of course Kyoka Suigetsu, my Zanpakuto. What I don't like? Let's see, I don't like weak people because they are useless. Hobbies? Hobbies, huh? I like lying. Like children, right? Yes. I like manipulating people's minds, Interesting, right? Then next, dream? My dream is to become God. You can say I'm pathetic because my dream is to become God, but now I'm trapped in this damn prison. But I'll give you a reason. I have this dream since I was 7 years old. At that time, I was being played by the villagers. I was hit, stabbed, kicked. The point is I almost died there. Why? Because of something that wasn't my fault. If you're thinking about the QB, no. I don't like playing with Madara's pet or what you could call the QB. Before I continue, you should know about my family first. My mother is Uzumaki Kushina, and my father is Namikaze Minato, who was the Yondaime Hokage at that time. I have one younger sibling, not really a younger sibling because we are actually twins. Her name is Namikaze Natsumi. She is a very beautiful woman, I can say. When I was born, the QB attacked Konoha because it was controlled by a man named Tobi. My father, who was the Hokage at that time, stopped the QB by sealing it into my sister, Natsumi's body. At that time, my father announced that Natsumi was the village hero. Yes, my nightmare began on that day, the day I was born. Natsumi was always seen as a hero for the village. At first, she was always arrogant and showed off everything. My father and mother, even though they didn't hate me, they always ignored me by showing favoritism to Natsumi. My childhood was my nightmare. I was always ignored by people, even my parents, and Natsumi herself always badmouthed me. I was always alone. And also, there were some people in the village who hated Natsumi and thought Natsumi was the QB. But because of the Hokage's strict guard, they couldn't vent their hatred on Natsumi. So, I who didn't know anything became their outlet. But what? My parents never cared. When I came home with injuries, they just said, "Naruto, treat your wounds and go to your room. Then take a bath. I'm going to train with Natsumi." They didn't even ask, "Are you okay, Naruto? Come here. Mom will treat you." Painful for a 5-year-old, right? Yes, I think that concludes my introduction for now. I'll tell you my story of how I achieved my dream of becoming a god. Flashback, 14 years ago. /N. Naruto's age when he was narrating was 21 years old. This means Naruto is currently 7 years old. Oto-sama, can I train to be a ninja? Sorry Naruto, but you're still too young to be a ninja. But why is Natsumi already training to be a ninja? That's because Natsumi needs training to control the QB's chakra. Kakashi Aji-san was already a chunin at my age. That's because Kakashi lived alone at that time. Kakashi's father died when he was 4 years old and Kakashi had to be able to take care of himself. Because of that, he became a genin at the age of 5, and chunin at the age of 6. Oh, okay, I'll be going out. See you at dinner, Oto-sama. With that, Naruto smiled and ran out with tears in his eyes. Naruto is no ordinary 7-year-old. At 7, he is incredibly intelligent. He is also incredibly good at controlling his emotions, always appearing calm and projecting a pleasant aura. By the age of 3, Naruto was already an expert reader, even though Natsumi was still practicing reading at that age. He would always listen quietly to Natsumi's reading lessons and secretly study as well. Within 3 months, he could read fluently. Amazing, isn't it? Since he could already read, Naruto was a passionate reader. He often spent his time in his home library in secret. He didn't want his parents to know about his reading abilities, even though he wanted their approval. He has always tried to get his parents' attention since he was 5 years old. But he gave up a few months ago and he was convinced that he never got his parents' attention and his parents would always love Natsumi. On the outside, he looks normal, but inside, he is very hurt. What 7-year-old boy wouldn't be hurt if his parents ignored him? Yes, Naruto is very smart at 7 years old. But he is also an ordinary 7-year-old boy who needs affection. He always cries. But no, he thinks that crying is for weak people who can't do anything. So he covers his emotions with cheerful, calm, and always happy emotions. He also sneaked into the library when he was 5 years old and found a book about human nature, emotions, and movements. He memorized and studied the book for a year. And now he is an expert at reading human expressions and guessing what someone will do next just by looking at someone's movements. When he was 4 years old, He also enjoyed stealing Fuinjutsu scrolls in his father's library and then returning them without his father knowing. Yes, Naruto had opened his chakra flow when he was 3 years old. He needed 2 seconds to open his chakra flow while Natsumi needed 10 minutes. Why? Because opening the chakra flow requires calm. At that time Naruto was always calm and could open it in 2 seconds, but Natsumi needed 10 minutes because she was impatient. Since the moment he opened his chakra flow, Naruto began sneaking into his father's library and looking for scrolls for jutsu. He knew, surely Minato would make Natsumi learn ninjutsu and taijutsu, therefore he chose to read about Fuinjutsu. Currently, he has read all the Fuinjutsu scrolls in his father's library. He has also created several Fuinjutsu, which of course his parents and Natsumi do not know. They are not even aware that Naruto can read without anyone teaching him. Could be said, Naruto's Fuinjutsu ability is on par with a high chunin. Why? He has read all the Fuinjutsu scrolls in his father's library, which number hundreds, and has practiced them. But he has no instructor to tell him whether or not his calligraphy is correct or not, or if his writing is too deviant or what. Therefore, he is still high chunin level even though he has created several Fuinjutsu. One of his favorite Fuinjutsu is the gravity seal, which he created specifically for himself. Unlike other gravity seals, which make our bodies heavier, Naruto's gravity seal makes his body 10-fold lighter. He always has the gravity seal attached to his body. If he needs to increase his speed, he makes a single hand seal without saying anything. While it makes Naruto's body lighter, he also uses gravity seals to weigh him down to increase his speed. Currently, Naruto has a gravity seal weighing 20 kilograms. If Naruto removes both of the gravity seals, his speed is equivalent to that of a low jounin, even though he's only 7 years old. Until now, he only knows a few ninjutsu, and his taijutsu he is still working on, while his genjutsu is on par with his Fuinjutsu. Even though his chakra capacity is large, Naruto's chakra control is already 90%. He has always practiced his chakra control in his spare time since 3 years ago, right the next day after Naruto opened his chakra flow and read the scroll about chakra control. His parents still don't know. They don't pay much attention to Naruto and don't notice Naruto's body, which is now more muscular and more mature than most 7-year-olds. The only person who knows Naruto's true greatness is Uchiha Itachi. After watching Naruto train after returning from a mission, Itachi taught him some taijutsu and ninjutsu. They often sparred several times and liked to compete in genjutsu. Usually every time Naruto had a genjutsu that he created himself, he tested it on Itachi to ask for his opinion, and Itachi always gave him advice on how to create jutsu. Naruto's relationship with Itachi now is like a brother and sister. They tell each other their problems and give each other advice. Itachi considers Naruto as a little brother, while Itachi's real brother, Sasuke, he doesn't really like him. Sasuke grew up with traits like fugaku, arrogant, and others. Because of that, Itachi didn't like him. Itachi's mother, Makoto, also married Fugaku because she was forced by Makoto's mother and father. A woman's scream reached Naruto's ears. Judging by the tone of her scream, it was more of a scream of fear than a scream of shock or joy. Naruto looked around, realizing he was in Konoha's danger zone, an area filled with ruins left by the Kyuubi's attack. These ruins were so badly damaged that they could not be repaired and could only be inhabited. Many said there was a nest of bandits, ghosts, or other unspecified creatures here. The woman's scream was heard again. Without thinking anymore, Naruto immediately ran towards the woman's voice. By relying on instinct and hearing, Naruto was now in a small alley between 2 large buildings. At the end of the alley was a dead end. He also saw a woman there. She looked 3 years older than Naruto. She had shoulder-length black hair, /N. Rukia Kachiki's hair after Aizen/Hogyoku arc. She was not wearing a shirt or pants, and now only wore a bra and panties. She was surrounded by 3 men who had taken off their pants. Human. Is there even a human who has morals and ethics like Itachi and I? TCH. If this is the case, I'll just become a god, Naruto thought. Since 5 years old, Naruto has always wanted to become what is called God, from a conversation with a poor old man he helped. Flashback. Naruto was now walking alone in the middle of Konoha. He was lost in thought, making him wander aimlessly. He was currently contemplating creating a new Fuinjutsu, or perhaps a new genjutsu. He was still lost in thought until he saw a sad old man looking into a ramen shop. His clothes were very dirty, and from his face and appearance, he looked like a lower-class person. From his expression, of course he looks sad. His eyes radiate an aura of loneliness and a very deep wound. Almost the same as me, but this person is more experienced. From his clothes, it is clear that he just got a wound seen from the hole in his clothes and the bloodstains that look like 2 days old. Looks hungry. He has a tattoo with the initials KA. It seems he has bad memories with people with the initials KA because it is clear he wants to remove the tattoo scene from the stains around the tattoo that seem to be cleaned and scrubbed by water. Boxer? No. Sailor? Laborer? No. Unemployed? No. His hands are too muscular for someone who is unemployed. His body also looks like someone who often trains. A sailor. His hands look a little muscular, that means he often trains with his hands or often lifts heavy objects. Not a shinobi because he looks like he can't do anything. From the smell of the sea on his hands, he was just fired from his job and got something bad. Naruto began to analyze. He was used to analyzing people he just met. If it was safe, he'd always ask them if what they were thinking was true. He was usually right about 90% of the time. But for someone who hid their expression, like Itachi or some of the Aburame clan members he'd met when he'd accompanied his father on his clan visits, he was often wrong. He's starving. Maybe I'll buy him the ramen he saw. Naruto thought. With that, he immediately went to the ramen shop. After buying ramen from Ichiraka Ramen, the name of the ramen shop Naruto bought it from, he walked back to the old man he saw earlier. The old man gave Naruto a hopeful look. Naruto knew that. Naruto immediately returned it with a smile, then gave him the package of ramen Naruto bought. Eat. I know you haven't eaten in 2 days, right? Naruto said with a smile. The old man looked surprised by Naruto's deduction, but then returned to his pleased expression. After thanking him, he took the package of ramen Naruto had bought and quickly devoured it. After eating, Naruto immediately gave him the bottle of water he always carried with him wherever he went. The old man immediately reached for Naruto's bottle and drank it all. His face then looked at Naruto with shame for having troubled him. It's okay. I have more than enough, so a bottle of water and a pack of ramen is fine. Naruto smiled back. The old man did nothing but smile back. Thank you, young man. I don't know what I can do to repay you for this kindness, the old man exclaimed. Naruto smiled again. It's okay. You don't have to do anything, Naruto replied, then unsealed the first aid kit he always kept sealed in his left hand in case he needed it. Take off your shirt. I'll treat your wounds, Naruto said. The old man immediately shook his head. No need. There's enough food and drink. I don't want to bother you, the old man replied. Naruto then gave her another smile. It's okay, you're not bothering me. I also don't have the heart to give someone food and drink but not treat their wounds, Naruto said. The old man simply nodded. Naruto then bandaged some of the old man's wounds. The old man looked much better and smiled happily. What's your name, young man? You're very kind. I'm very, very grateful, the old man said in a very happy tone. Uzumaki Naruto, Naruto replied. Actually, Naruto's name is Namikaze Naruto. Seeing his parents always neglect him, Naruto took the surname Uzumaki. Naruto has always been interested in the Uzumaki clan and always read about their history. Also, his mother is also an Uzumaki, so there's no harm in using the surname Uzumaki. Thank you, Naruto-san. My name is Daisuke Asetsu, Daisuke said. Naruto was stunned. Sorry, this is just my guess. Judging from your body and the smell of the sea, you are a former sailor, right? Your posture is perfect for a sailor. And then, you are used to lifting heavy objects, judging by the muscles in your arms that are almost torn from lifting something very heavy. Sorry for being rude. Did you just get fired from your job? Naruto asked. Daisuke looked very shocked by Naruto's analysis before finally smiling. I am a former sailor who worked under a man named Gato. He always made me work around by ordering me to lift very heavy objects, giving me a small salary and so on. I was sick of working with him, but I couldn't do anything because my family was very poor. Gato was one of the richest businessmen in the world. Initially, Gato's parents made Gato's business very great and earned the respect of some of his workers. But they both died. Since they died, Gato took over the company. Since then, the company has become more dirty. Gato often kidnapped women to be his playthings, bribed some shinobi, then sold illegal goods. He also drastically reduced the workers' wages. Many wanted to leave, but he always hired bandits to kill those who tried to leave their jobs to marry the remaining workers. Until one day, my wife was kidnapped and used as a sex worker by one of Gato's bandits. And my only child was also killed because he tried to save my wife. With that, a tear came from the old man's eye. I, knowing that if I fought Gato I would die, secretly checked on my wife and tried to escape from Gato's reach. But it was too late. I saw my wife lying lifeless. Unable to bear it any longer, I ran away from Gato. Unfortunately, Gato realized that I was trying to escape and ordered one of his bandits to kill me. I got these wounds trying to fight the bandit. In the end, I was lucky and managed to kill him. I wandered aimlessly for 2 days, and finally I am here and met you, Naruto-san. Daisuke finished. He let a few tears escape his eyes even though he wanted to hold back the tears. Meanwhile, Naruto clenched his fists. He would kill this Gato someday. Don't worry, Daisuke-san. I'll try to find this bastard named Gato, Naruto said with determination. Why is God so unfair? My life is almost the same as yours, but I still have a family and a place to live, Naruto said quietly. However, Daisuke heard Naruto's words and gave a sad smile. I asked the same thing, then I think there's no God. If there was, he wouldn't make his creatures suffer. If only I were God, Daisuke whispered. Naruto raised an eyebrow as he looked at Daisuke questioningly. Become a god? He asked in a confused tone. Daisuke gave Naruto a smile. Yes, becoming a god. By becoming a god, we can do anything and people will love us. No one will dare to fight us because no one dares. Then there will be peace. If I were a god, I could do whatever I want without anyone protesting. Even a Kage wouldn't dare to protest. Kage are kings while I am a god. I can ask for anything I want, Daisuke said. Naruto looked at him in disbelief. Become a god? He thought. What is your dream, young man? Daisuke asked. Dream? I don't have a dream. I don't even know my reason for living. Naruto gave Daisuke a sad smile. Daisuke nodded, then smiled. Someday you will find your dream and your purpose in life, young man, Daisuke replied. Naruto stood up. It's almost night. It's time for me to go home. I'd like to see you again tomorrow morning at 9 here, Daisuke-san. With that, Naruto left. Since then, Naruto has been with Daisuke for 2 months. Their relationship is very good, like father and son. Naruto has told Daisuke about his life and told him that he is the son of the Hokage. But the Hokage did not care and preferred Natsumi, his twin. At that time, Daisuke was angry, but Naruto calmed him down. Unfortunately, at the end of the 2nd month, Daisuke was killed by his own best friend while still working with Gato in front of Naruto himself. At that time, Naruto was very angry and sad. One of the people precious to him was killed in front of him, and the person who killed him did not feel guilty. At that moment, Naruto immediately killed his father's killer on the spot. And at that moment, inside, Naruto became a different person even though on the outside he remained the same person. And at that very moment, he had a dream and a purpose for life. He would become a god. No one stands above the world. Not you, not me, and not even the gods. However, now that position is no longer empty. From now on, I will sit in that position, Naruto whispered. End flashback. Returning to reality, Naruto's attention returned to the bandits who were about to rape someone. Without making a sound, Naruto stabbed one of them with a kunai. Wasting no time, he threw 2 kunai at the necks and heads of the other 2. Watching the 2 people fall, Naruto grinned slightly. Ah, it seems I forgot to at least let them have their last words. Naruto then turned his gaze to the woman he had just helped. He smiled. Ah, miss. Sorry for letting you see such an inappropriate scene. The woman looked at Naruto in shock. A feeling of joy came over her. She then ran towards Naruto and hugged him, then thanked him. It's okay. I just don't like bandits who don't respect a woman's dignity, Naruto said with a warm smile at the woman he helped. What's your name? He asked. The woman smiled. Hikari. Hikari Sumikin. Naruto smiled back. Okay, Hikari-chan, I have to go. My parents are looking for me. Oh well, there's no one around here, so you shouldn't have any trouble walking home. See you later. With that, Naruto ran off towards his house. Today was like any other day for Naruto Namikaze. As usual, he would wake up because of the damn alarm he set, make his bed, take a shower, have breakfast, give Natsumi a death glare for a while, leave after saying goodbye to his Otasama and Kasama, think about Fuinjutsu or Genjutsu inventions, help if anyone needs help, go home, have dinner accompanied by the sound of his parents always praising Natsumi, wash the dishes after eating, go to his room, and then sleep. But Naruto forgot one thing that usually happened between home and dinner, namely, the mobs who hated the Kyuubi and took their hatred out on Naruto. Hateful gazes were directed at Naruto. Ah shit, was the only thing Naruto thought before the mob taught him a lesson. Kicked in the stomach repeatedly, thrown with stones, both small and large, sometimes stabbed with a kitchen knife even though it wasn't in a vital part. Resigned, Naruto just closed his eyes and thought about his better life in heaven, that is if he was allowed to go to heaven by Kami. That day Naruto realized one thing about humans. How cruel all humans are. Even the Hokage. These villagers beat Naruto without mercy just because he's the twin brother of the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki. But if Naruto slaughtered them all and spared even one person, they would call him a monster, not realizing they were doing something even worse. If this continues, I will become a god someday by hook or crook, and I will avenge them. That was Naruto's last thought before everything went dark. Unbeknownst to Naruto, Natsumi stared at her twin with a shocked and terrified expression. Her mouth hung open, unsure of what to do. There lay her brother, murdered by the villagers, and she didn't know what to do. Her brother, who always protected her, even though he was always arrogant towards her. Her brother who she always teased but was still always kind to her. Her brother who Natsumi always wanted to prove that he was unnecessary in the family, but who still smiled at Natsumi. At least that's what he thought. And there, her brother lay unconscious and she didn't know what to do. Hell, she didn't even know her brother at all. Her brother always knew everything about Natsumi and made Natsumi sick of his know-it-all attitude even though everything his brother said was true. But she didn't know anything about her brother at all. And lately her brother was always going out and getting colder and colder. And oh, now he realized he'd been ignoring his older brother. And apparently his parents too. Why didn't you help him, you idiot? Kyuubi asked, angry with Natsumi's actions. Ever since Natsumi started accessing Kyuubi's chakra, Kyuubi knew that Natsumi was stupid. Trying to use her chakra at such a young age would only make Kyuubi's chakra influence her thinking in a bad way. Kyuubi's chakra was full of hatred. With the brain of a 7-year-old, of course her brain couldn't handle the hatred in Kyuubi's chakra. Very, very stupid. If she wanted to access her chakra, she had to be at least 13 years old. Her parents were also very stupid. I don't know what to do. Just shut up. You idiot. Besides, it's his fault. He must have done something bad to the people. Natsumi shouted at the demon inside her body. You never knew about your brother and his condition, huh? Kyuubi asked with a small smirk on his face. What do you mean? Natsumi asked back with a confused expression. Stupid. I always watched your brother through your eyes. He hid himself with a cheerful mask. Didn't you ever know that he was always lonely? That he was always neglected by your parents who loved you more? When I attacked the village, many died. The families of those who died hated me very much and always wanted to finish you off. Because you were always closely guarded by your father. Because of that, they vented their anger on your brother, stupid. Natsumi's eyes widened. Shocked. Completely shocked. She had no idea that the one who had caused all this to her brother in the first place was her. She remained silent, not answering the Kyuubi and severing their mental connection. Maybe he will give his sister a chance and she will change. Ah, how naive he was, but it was too late. Naruto Mindscape. Naruto opened his eyes and found himself in a lake. He stood up, feeling like he was standing on water. Around him, flowers floated on the water. It was dark, as it looked like night, complete with the full moon in the sky and its light. Naruto looked around in confusion. 1 second ago, a kitchen knife had been stabbed into his shoulder and a villager had kicked him in the back of the head, and now he was in the middle of a lake, floating and vice versa. Ah, so you've come to see me. A woman's soft voice was heard, and a few seconds later, a woman wearing a pink yukata appeared. Her hair was shoulder length and straight. Her hair was also white, and her body was very slender. Interesting. A few seconds ago I was being beaten by the villagers and the next second I was standing floating above the water and met a beautiful woman who came from who knows where. Let me guess, this is not in the world anymore? Ah, if it's not the world, then I'm dead. And, I didn't think heaven would be this boring. And, you must be Kami? Ah, I'm honored to meet you, Kami-sama. Naruto said while bowing respectfully with his innocent tone. The person Naruto thought was Kami just chuckled. Ah, Naruto-kun, I'm not Kami. I'm your Zanpakuto, the woman said. Naruto just raised an eyebrow. Zanpakuto? After explaining the history of the Uzumaki clan, Zanpakuto, Rietsu, Shirkai, and Bankai for what seemed like hours, Naruto could only hold his brain from exploding from the information overload. So, you're saying we're one? I'm you and you're me? Ah, it's all so confusing, Naruto said as he ran a hand through his hair. Okay, since you're me and I'm you, how about I name you Uzumaki Naruto since it sounds like a guy? Naruto rubbed his chin in thought. Ah, how about Uzumaki Naruko, HM? It fits, doesn't it? Naruto asked. The woman just chuckled before looking at Naruto with a serious expression on her face. Come on, Naruto-kun, don't pretend anymore. I'm you, so I know that it's all a mask. Hearing this, Naruto's face broke into a smile. Not a happy smile, but a smirk. And I already have a name, the woman replied. Naruto's eyes widened slightly. You have a name? What's your name? Ah, if you hear my name, you will also obtain Shirkai. However, you don't seem to be able to hear my name. My name is… Ah, Kyuka Suigetsu? Interesting and beautiful name. It suits the atmosphere here. Naruto said with a smile that spread his charm. Kyuka Suigetsu was shocked, his eyes widening slightly. No one had ever obtained a Shirkai the first time they heard their Zanpakuto's name. This naturally shocked Kyuka Suigetsu. Can you hear my name? He asked once more to confirm. Naruto nodded and grinned again. Is that a bad sign, Kyuka Suigetsu shook his head. That's a good sign. No one has ever been able to hear the name of a Zanpakuto spirit the first time they meet them, Kyuka Suigetsu replied. Naruto raised an eyebrow. Didn't you say the only person who has a Zanpakuto in this world is Uzumaki Yamamoto? He's the only one, and you saying no one ever assumes that there are other Zanpakuto users or that there is another dimension where people fight using Zanpakuto. The first theory is more logical than the second, but hey, in this world nothing is logical and anything can happen. Naruto explained. Kyuka Suigetsu widened his eyes slightly before smiling. Ah, turns out you are smart. Both of your theories are correct. We actually come from another world called Siriitii where they all use Zanpakuto to fight and wage war. Unfortunately, we were destroyed by an entity called Quincy, led by a person named Juhabak. With his last strength, Yamamoto used his skills to go to another world with Ryujin Jaka. And after that, it was as I told you, Kyuka Suigetsu answered. Naruto nodded in understanding. And you are my third holder, Kyuka Suigetsu continued. Naruto didn't show any emotion and just raised an eyebrow in confusion. Kyuka Suigetsu saw this. He smiled. The Zanpakuto's spirit passes to another person when its wielder dies. However, the Zanpakuto's spirit passes to a person determined by Kami himself and a person whose Rietsu capacity exceeds that of a normal human. You Naruto, the reason you have a small chakra capacity is because you have a large Rietsu. And before you ask again, I should probably give you the memories of my previous wielder, Susuke Aizen. With that, Kyuka Suigetsu tapped Naruto's forehead with her index and middle fingers. After what Kyuka Suigetsu did, Naruto immediately got a lot of memories. When Aizen was a child, his dream was the same as his, turning the captains of the Godai 13 into hollows, recruiting Jin and Tosen, making copies of the Hugyoku and testing it on the people of the Rokungai district, manipulating Momo Hinamori and the others. Then during the Ryoka invasion he made a corpse of himself, stabbed the Godai 13 from behind, took the real Hugyoku from Rukia Kachiki's body, created the Espada, fought in Karakura town, was defeated by Ichigo Kurosaki and sealed by Kasuke Urahara. After getting all his memories, Naruto smiled. Ah, I can't lie that I like this guy named Aizen. He's a genius, and he knows that this world needs a god. But those stupid Shinigami are stopping him. Ah well, I will continue his ambition because his ambition is the same as mine. Kyuka Suigetsu sighed. Ha! As expected. As your Zanpakuto, I can't stop you and must be loyal to you. Remember, even though you have Aizen's memories, your body still can't adapt to all of his abilities and you have to train, said Kyuka Suigetsu. Naruto just grinned. Ah, I do like training. Suddenly, Naruto's body gradually disappeared. Ah, Naruto-kun, it looks like you're awake. If you want to see me again, you just need to meditate. See you. With that, Naruto's eyes opened. The first thing Naruto saw was the blue sky, and he just remembered he was still in the middle of the road. How long have I been talking to Kyuka Suigetsu? Naruto thought. Forget it. I have to think about my plan from now on. I already have the memory and the power. Just train. And maybe I will become strong. And they will know if they chose the wrong enemy. From now on I have to act cheerful, and I have to change my aura to be comfortable around people. This is getting interesting. Just need to find loyal subordinates like Jin and Tosen who hate this village. Naruto thought with a smirk. Maybe I should change my appearance. I will change my appearance to be like Aizen. His appearance is pretty cool. With that, Naruto headed to the clothing and weapon shop in Konoha after getting his Kyoka Suigetsu. Hokage Mansion. On the sofa, a woman with pale blonde hair down to her back and hazel brown eyes, /N. Kushina's eyes. The author doesn't know the color of Kushina's eyes. She was wearing a red house dress with the Uzumaki symbol on the back. Her face showed that she was sad and worried. Kushina, seeing her beloved daughter looking sad, approached her and sat down beside her. She hugged Natsumi from the side. "What's wrong, honey?" she asked. Natsumi glanced at her mother for a moment before looking down again. "It's about Naruto," she replied. Kushina was a little shocked. It was rare for Natsumi to think about Naruto, not rarely but never. Kushina also finally thought about Naruto. Naruto? Oh yeah, Naruto. I rarely see him. He mostly just plays with his friends. Oh wait, does he have friends? Oh, I just remembered. I don't know anything about Naruto even though I live in the same house as him. I feel like he's a stranger. What kind of mother am I that I don't know anything about her child? Back to reality, Kushina looked at her daughter again. "What's wrong with Naruto?" she asked. Natsumi remained silent. He was beaten up by the villagers, Kachan. After saying that, Natsumi burst into tears. And I just stayed silent. I didn't know what to do. So I came here. She continued. Kushina was shocked. Her son was beaten by the villagers? Oh, the villagers would see why he was called the Red Harbinero. He was beaten by the villagers, why? Kushina asked, for the first time, somewhat worried for her son. He was beaten by the villagers because of the Kyubi. Natsumi answered hesitantly. Kyubi? Kushina was increasingly confused. What was the connection between Naruto and the Kyubi? Some villagers hate the Kyubi because their loved ones died because of the Kyubi. They tried to take it out on me, but because of Tuchan they couldn't and ended up taking it out on Naruto. I don't know how long this has been going on, Natsumi replied, still crying and trying to stop the tears from coming out. She then wiped her eyes. Kushina was shocked again. She just remembered that Naruto often came home with wounds on his body. She thought they were just injuries from playing ninja with his friends. Oh, how wrong she was. So, didn't any of his friends help him? Kushina asked. He doesn't have any friends. I don't know, he's always alone. No one wants to be friends with him. I don't know, I rarely see him. Natsumi answered in a low voice. Before Kushina could answer, the door to the house opened. They both saw someone coming. They knew it was Naruto at first sight. However, he wasn't the spiky blonde-haired boy they knew, but this person was different. His hair was now straight back with a slight wave, and one strand of hair fell down past his forehead a little, /N. Susuk Aizen's hair after escaping from Siri. He was wearing a white long-sleeved shirt with the Uzumaki symbol on the back with white pants with black stripes on the side of the pants. Some parts of his face had some wounds that had been cleaned and covered with bandages. He closed the door before looking at Natsumi and Kushina in shock. He then bowed. Sorry if it was rude. I didn't see you guys. Hello, Kasama, Natsumi, he said in a respectful tone. Natsumi, who saw her sister's new appearance, only blushed a little before turning her face away, while Kushina just thought why her daughter was so formal. Oh, hello, Naruto-kun. No need to be so formal, Tebane, he said. Naruto then stood up again. This time he looked at his Kasan while raising his eyebrows, a sign that he was very confused. Kushina, seeing Naruto's expression, became increasingly confused. What's wrong, Naruto-kun? She asked. This is the first time Kasama called me with the suffix kun, and this is also the first time Kasama greeted me when I came home, and for the question about formalities, Tusama told me that I have to respect everyone in the house, therefore I have to be formal. What is happening here? Asked Naruto nervously. What the hell? Why are they suddenly being nice to me? Well, if this is the case, my plan will be easier to carry out. I just have to convince them that I am a good and innocent boy who always smiles no matter how hard his life is. Once they believe in me, I am free to play them like chess, Naruto thought. Meanwhile, Kushina was just shocked to hear her son's words. She didn't think that she had never realized this. She felt embarrassed this time. She just laughed nervously. Oh yeah, from now on, just call me Ka-san or Ka-chan. I don't like formalities. And Naruto-kun, what happened to you? Kushina asked, pretending not to know. She just wanted to hear it directly from Naruto. Seeing Naruto confused again, Kushina was also even more confused. Did I never ask him that made him confused? She thought again. This? Naruto pointed to the bandages on his face and several other injuries. Kushina nodded. To this, I fell from a tree while trying to pick some fruit, she replied. Before Kushina could ask, Natsumi had already beaten her up. Liar! I saw Nisan being beaten by the villagers and fainting, Natsumi exclaimed. Naruto was confused again. Natsumi? Since when did you call me Nisan? Naruto asked again. Natsumi was silent again, and Kushina was also confused because she just realized that Natsumi never called Naruto Nisan. Forget it. Oh yeah, you saw it. Why didn't you help me? Naruto asked. Seeing that, Natsumi was silent again and felt embarrassed. Naruto just smiled happily. It's okay, Natsumi-chan. I know you're busy. I'm not mad at you, really. Naruto answered with a smile that calmed Natsumi and made her blush a little and turn her face away because she didn't want her Ka-san to see her too. Embarrassing. Naruto, how long have you been beaten by the villagers? Kushina asked with a worried expression on her face. Since 2 years ago, Naruto replied. Kushina and Natsumi were even more shocked to hear this. It had been 2 years since Naruto had been beaten by the villagers, and he could still smile? It had been 7 years since Naruto had been ignored, and he could still respect his parents and greet Natsumi without feeling anything? That's what they thought. But they couldn't see Naruto's mask. And Naruto's plan would be even smoother if they couldn't see his mask. Why didn't you tell Ka-san? Kushina asked. Naruto looked at her for a moment. Ka-sama didn't ask, and when I wanted to say, Ka-sama was always busy with Tusama in meetings with the council or busy training Natsumi. Naruto said. Kushina lowered her head in shame hearing that. No one noticed Naruto smirking when he saw his Ka-sama's expression. Oh yeah, Ka-sama. May I keep the sword? Naruto asked while taking Kyuka Suigetsu from his sword pouch while secretly activating his Shirkai. Kyuka Suigetsu has the power to manipulate their opponent's 5 senses and create very real illusions. To activate it, the opponent needs to see Kyuka Suigetsu, and this is the perfect time. I got it while helping the old man sell. He told me to take it. Naruto continued. Hopefully they believe it. If it's okay, you can keep it, Kushina said. Naruto smiled and then walked towards his room. He then closed the door of his room and grinned. Oh, things are getting interesting. This world is a game that must be played by everyone who gets their share. And unfortunately, Naruto prefers to play than to be a toy. Naruto grinned again before removing his sword sheath and his Kyuka Suigetsu, which he placed behind his back in a vertical position rather than on his waist, /N. Like Toshiro Hitsugaya. He then placed it on his study table and then walked to his bed. Oh, things are getting interesting. With that, Naruto slept and went to his mindscape. Mindscape. Naruto opened his eyes and was now back above the lake. Before him stood Kyuka Suigetsu. Naruto stood up. If you don't mind, I'd like to train here, Naruto said, starting the conversation. Kyuka Suigetsu nodded. Okay, Naruto-kun. We will train for 3 years here, and 3 years here means 3 hours outside there because I changed the flow of time. And get ready for your training. Kyuka Suigetsu replied with a smile before she shot Naruto with Kidu. Naruto dodged. Oh, 3 years or 3 hours of Naruto would be very, very painful. Susuke Aizen. It's been 2 weeks since Naruto got Kyuka Suigetsu. However, a week ago he found a bracelet whose chain was connected to a 5-pointed star-shaped logo. After asking Kyuka Suigetsu, it was a bracelet called Quincy Cross. Just like Zanpakuto, it was the result of Naruto's chakra manifestation, and the way to use it was, gathering natural energy like Sage Mode, and making it into an arrow. And Naruto trained with his Quincy powers for this week. Not wanting people to be suspicious, Naruto would only use his Quincy powers as his main power and not use Kyuka Suigetsu or the S-rank ninjutsu that Naruto mastered because Kyuka Suigetsu also taught him ninjutsu. Who knows where he knows ninjutsu from? And, what's even more amazing, the ninjutsu taught by Kyuka Suigetsu has never been used by anyone else and are all S-class. Naruto could say that they are all moves he created if asked by others, and that's impossible because Naruto will never show his true power to anyone except his subordinates who he is now looking for. For the past 2 weeks, for some reason, his family had become nice to him. Minato still hadn't trained him and he said he would tomorrow, and of course, he didn't need to because he was already trained by Kyuka Suigetsu. And a few days ago his family apologized to him and tried to start everything over, and of course Naruto just said it was okay to continue his act even though inside he felt disgusted to be with them. Ugh, he couldn't stand having to smile kindly. And he wished he would just carry out his plan and leave the village and start his new plan. But alas, it was still a long way off and Naruto was still plotting. And, for some reason since Naruto changed his appearance, Natsumi always blushes when he smiles at her or makes eye contact with her. This doesn't only affect Natsumi, but every girl who sees Naruto and Naruto can only think, what the hell was happening? Yes, Naruto doesn't understand anything about romantic feelings, and every time he asks Kyuka Suigetsu just laughs while saying, you'll know that when you grow up, or, you'll often break women's hearts. And now we see Naruto walking in the middle of the village. He is wearing a traditional black hakama with a white haori with the kanji yuzu, wa, behind it. He is stared at by the girls and then they blush. He is also looked at with respect because he is the son of the Hokage. He stops at training ground 9 and sees a boy wearing a white kimono with a bandage on his forehead. His eyes are white and his long brown hair is tied down in a ponytail. He is training with eyes full of hatred and anger. This is a good opportunity for him. From what he sees, even though he seems older than Naruto, he has a lot of potential, and if he lives up to Naruto's expectations, this boy could be a good chess piece for Naruto. With that, Naruto smirks and then walks to greet a boy who Naruto assumes is a Hyuga from his eyes. Hello, Naruto greeted, now catching the Hyuga's attention. The Hyuga, who knew Naruto and his status as the Hokage's son, simply bowed respectfully. Is there anything I can help you with, Namike-sama? He asked in a respectful tone. Naruto grinned. No need to be so formal with me, Hyuga-san. Naruto said. How about we spar, eh? I saw your skills were very good there and I'm sure I'll have to work hard to beat you. With that, the Hyuga went straight to his Juken stance while Naruto just stayed silent. I don't have a taijutsu style that suits me, so I don't use a stance because I'm not very skilled in taijutsu and maybe I just stay here. You think I'm arrogant for not needing a stance. I'm just explaining that I'm not that great in taijutsu and don't have a taijutsu style. Naruto explained. The Hyuga just nodded. Hyuga-san, you can cover my tanketsu with Juken because I want to be serious, and it's okay to be serious with me. Naruto continued. The Hyuga nodded again. And lastly, Hyuga-san, what is your full name? Naruto asked again. Hyuga Niji, answered a Hyuga who we know is named Niji. Naruto grinned. He then took his sword from its sheath and immediately tried to cut Niji by swinging it vertically from top to bottom. Niji jumped to the side and tried to close Naruto's tanketsu, but Naruto avoided it by jumping up and now he was behind Niji and tried to kick Niji. Niji blocked Naruto's kick and then jumped back. He then advanced again towards Naruto and tried to punch Naruto in the face. Naruto blocked Niji and tried to kick Niji with his right leg. Niji jumped up and then tried to kick Naruto. Naruto saw that and jumped back. Niji quickly ran towards Naruto and tried to close the chakra flow in his stomach. Naruto saw this, just smirked. He gave him a chance to hit him. Naruto, without dodging, was immediately hit by Niji's Juken. Naruto was thrown back. He stood up again while holding his stomach before running towards Niji and giving some slow speed punches and trying to test Niji. But Niji easily avoided Naruto's punch and tried to kick Naruto in the face, but was blocked by the wide part of Kyuka Suigetsu. Secretly, Naruto activated his Shurikai when Niji saw his sword. Naruto smirked. He immediately made an illusion on Niji as if Niji was fighting him even though he was looking at Niji. He also couldn't be seen by Niji because Kyuka Suigetsu manipulated his eyes and Byakugan so he didn't see the real Naruto. After a few minutes later, Niji closed all of Naruto's tanketsu and kicked Naruto's clone in the face and made Naruto's clone fly away and now lay weak before he heard shatter, Kyuka Suigetsu. With that, the Naruto he was fighting turned into glass shards before revealing the real Naruto without any injuries. Impressive. Naruto muttered to Neji with his usual smile. Neji looked shocked by this. Ah, calm down, Hyuga-san. The sparring is over and you're the winner, Naruto said. He then invited Neji to take a break and sit down. So, tell me more about yourself. Even if your past is bad, I'll listen, Naruto said. After explaining his hatred for the Hyuga main family and his uncle, his father's sacrifice, and his hatred, Naruto couldn't help but smirk. Oh, the pawn he got could be very, very useful. So, to sum up your story, you hate the Hyuga main family and this village? Naruto asked. Neji's eyes widened slightly. And no. Before Neji could continue, Naruto interrupted him. Ah, it's okay, Neji. I hate this village too, Naruto said. Neji looked at him in disbelief. How about I make a deal? Naruto asked. Neji remained silent and Naruto continued. I will release you from what you call your destiny. Neji, someone like me is not bound by destiny. I will release you from this seal that the elders placed on your forehead. But in return you will be loyal to me and I will train you. How about it? Naruto offered. Neji looked at Naruto in disbelief. How do I know you're not lying? Neji asked. Naruto grinned and began his story with how he was neglected by his family and his plan to make Konoha feel what he felt and become the god who leads this world in the new order. Neji, even though I'm 7, I'm strong enough to kill an ANBU captain with my full power. I'm at least an elite Jounin or ANBU captain and I can train you. However, about the seal, it will take at least a few more years because to get the scroll about the caged bird seal from the Hyuga I have to gain the trust of one of the members of the Hyuga main clan. How about it, do you agree? Naruto offered again with a grin on his face. Neji seemed to think for a moment. Her offer wasn't really detrimental to him. He could gain power and break free from the seal on his forehead if what she said was true, and in exchange he would be loyal to her. That didn't matter. I accept. Naruto just smirked at this. He then told Neji about his powers, not all of them, just the basics to gain his trust. However, he still lied about some of them because Naruto still held the principle of trust no one. Even one of his subordinates. Alright Neji, we'll meet again tomorrow here for your training. I have to go. And, for my nickname, I don't like formalities and don't call me Naruto-sama. Just call me Uzumaki Taicho or Naruto Taicho because I prefer the role of being a captain, Naruto said. Yes, Naruto Taicho. Jawab Neji. Naruto grinned. For now, just pretend nothing happened. See you, Neji. With that, Naruto shunshined and disappeared from Neji's sight, though he was actually spying on Neji to keep him from revealing anything to his clanmates and thankfully, Neji didn't, and it seemed Naruto saw loyalty in Neji. With that, Naruto's day ended with him gaining another subordinate. The next day, Naruto opened his eyes, he yawned a little. Well, new day. Starting today, I only use my Quincy powers that I'm still learning and my Shinigami powers I have to hide. Oh well, my Quincy powers are at least high Genin level and if I master the Harankyoku technique, I'll be at least high Chunin with my speed. Oh well, that means I have to take off this shirt. Maybe I'll like the traditional Quincy clothes like what Kyuka Suigetsu said, Naruto thought. He then sealed Kyuka Suigetsu in the storage seal he made in the palm of his hand, and then went to the bathroom to take a quick shower. After finishing his shower, he put on his Quincy clothes, or so he remembered in Susuke Aizen's memory when he met Yuryu Ishida, a Quincy. He was now wearing white pants and a white long-sleeved tunic with blue stripes. /N. Yuryu Ishida's clothes. After that, he brushed his hair back as usual and let a strand of hair fall down and slightly past his forehead. After smiling in front of the mirror, he went downstairs to have breakfast with his family. Down below, his family stared at him with puzzled looks, and he raised an eyebrow slightly. What's wrong? He asked. Your clothes don't look like usual, Naruto-kun, Kushina said. Naruto stared at Kushina for a moment before smiling warmly as usual. I just wanted to change my style, Naruto replied without looking at his sister who blushed slightly at his appearance. Kushina looked at her son and smiled. For some reason, she was proud of Naruto. Despite his hardships, he always smiled, and it moved Kushina a little. And from now on, she would be a good mother to Naruto. Naruto sat at the dining table, saw his Imudo. She stared at him for a moment and then smiled warmly. Oh heyo, Imudo-chan, Naruto greeted. Natsumi blushed slightly at her older brother's charming smile. Oh heyo, Older brother. Natsumi replied, slightly nervous. Naruto looked at him in confusion, then finished his breakfast. Before he could leave, Minato stopped him. Ah, Naruto-kun, tomorrow you and Natsumi will be entering the academy. And, can you show me and everyone your skills first? Minato asked. Naruto smiled warmly. Of course, Tusama. Minato replied. With that, they all went to the backyard. Naruto smiled as he saw 3 training dummies and several kunai. All you have to do is throw kunai at the training dummies, Minato explained. It's time to show some of my skills, and I'll make them regret not training me. Ah, sounds like a good plan, Naruto thought. Ah, sorry Tusama, but I'm not good with kunai. I'm better with arrows, Naruto said and made Minato, Kushina and Natsumi look at him in confusion. As if answering all the questions in their heads, Naruto took out the Quincy cross or Quincy necklace from under his sleeve and then held the symbol, and the next incident made Naruto's family shocked and jaw-dropped. In the middle of Naruto immediately formed an arrow made of Reisher, or what Minato thought was made of chakra. Naruto just grinned and then shot an arrow. The arrow was thrown and then split into 3 arrows, 1 arrow hitting each target. Minato, who had recovered from his shock, stared at Naruto in disbelief. Naruto-kun, what is that? He asked. Naruto smiled. I don't know. I found this power a year ago. Since then I've been training to use it. I don't know what it's called. At first I thought it was some kind of Kekii Genkai. But seeing as Tusama and Okasama never used arrows, so I don't know what this is. Naruto answered, which was of course a lie. How could Naruto explain everything to his family? Right? His plan would fail. He wanted his family to know that he was strong. But not too strong or just simple. What is that energy? It looks like chakra, but no. It looks like the natural energy Jiraiya-sensei used on us in Sage mode. Could it be natural energy? Oh god. I should have known from the start that Naruto was a genius, Minato thought. Meanwhile, Natsumi, who saw her sister, just stared at her in disbelief. She felt jealous, but also happy because her sister was a strong person. Seeing Natsumi's jealous expression, Naruto grinned. Don't worry, Emuto-chan. You're still stronger than me. I just know this much. Naruto reassured her even though inside he was laughing because he had finally defeated Natsumi in front of his parents. That's great, Naruto-kun. It's like a Kekii Genkai. What do you want to name it? Minato asked. Naruto put on a thoughtful pose even though he already knew what it was called. What about Quincy? Minato looked thoughtful. Quincy? Okay. Your Quincy techniques are very unique. Are there any other techniques you would like to learn? Maybe I can help you, Minato offered. Well, if I use more power than this, they might all be suspicious of me. For now, I have to hide it, Naruto thought. Ah, nothing, Tusama, Naruto said with a warm smile. Minato nodded. Okay, I want you to try explaining all your abilities. Ninjutsu, Genjutsu, and Taijutsu from 1 to 10, Minato said. Naruto nodded. Ninjutsu 0, because I haven't learned any ninjutsu. Then Genjutsu is also 0, because I haven't learned any Genjutsu. Then Taijutsu 3, Naruto explained. Alright, that's it. I have to go to the Hokage's office first and tomorrow you and Natsumi are entering the Shinobi Academy. So get ready. Jareni, Minato exclaimed before disappearing in a flash of yellow. Natsumi cheered happily and then ran towards Naruto and hugged him. Nichan, we're going to the academy, she exclaimed enthusiastically. Naruto smiled warmly and patted Natsumi's head. Of course, Emuto-chan. I'll be going for a bit, Naruto said. He then walked towards the door and went outside. He was now walking towards his meeting with Niji, his subordinate. If he trained Niji properly and Niji could live up to his expectations, Niji could become the strongest Hyuga in Konoha, surpassing Hayashi himself. And of course, that would be beneficial for Naruto, and before that, Naruto had to think of a way to manipulate everyone in Konoha with his Shurikai. Of course, he could manipulate all of his family with his Kyuka Suigetsu whenever he wanted. Hell, he could even manipulate the Hokage, and of course that would be beneficial. If he created the illusion that Kushina was dead, it could make the Hokage depressed. But no, he wouldn't do that yet, and now he had to find someone who hated Konoha. Oh well, maybe Uchiha Sasuke? A week ago, he received news that all members of the Uchiha clan were brutally killed by Itachi Uchiha, leaving only his 2 younger siblings, Uchiha Sasuke and Uchiha Tatsuki. Of course, Naruto, who knew Itachi's character, knew that Itachi must have had a reason for doing this. After searching the Hokage building without being seen because everyone in the Hokage building had seen his Shurikai, Naruto created an illusion so that he would not be seen by them. Well, Naruto's Kyuka Suigetsu is very special. He can control all 5 of a person's senses. He can manipulate the functions of the eyes, nose, mouth, ears, and skin. He can make people see, feel, and hear illusions that look like reality. Oh well, back to the Uchiha, he could have made him his subordinate and show him his strength so he would cooperate with him, and make him promise that he would help the Uchiha defeat Itachi. And of course, if he brought Sasuke, Tatsuki would automatically be involved because Sasuke was very, very protective of his little brother who was only a year older than him. And the Uchiha was the favorite child of the civilian council, and that would be very advantageous for Naruto, and he could manipulate the council from behind and control the village from behind, and of course, that would be very advantageous for Naruto. Speaking of the council, he already has a plan with the council. Although it can only affect the civilian council and 2 of the 4 elders. Why 2? Because one of the elders, Shimura Danzu, he found a report about Root, and if he is right, Danzu still has the Root program, and he has his own plan with Root later as part of his army. Then the other elder is Sarutobi Hiruzen, the former Hokage of Konoha and the only person who loved him during his dark times, and because of that he will not kill him even though he is already under Kyuka Suigetsu's Shurikai. And yet, Naruto's plans are still long. And now, let's seriously train Neji first. After that, Naruto plans to spy on the Uchiha to see if he can be a good pawn for him or not. Oh well, Naruto's plan is getting better. For now, Naruto will meet Neji to train him a bit. The next day, Naruto is now with his mother, and his twin sister is walking to the academy. Over the past 2 weeks, Naruto and Natsume's relationship has gotten better. Although Naruto only pretended to forgive his parents, somehow he has completely forgiven Natsume and now wants to protect her as an older brother. He is now always protective of Natsume, and sometimes even wonders why Natsume always blushes when he smiles at her. Naruto now wears white trousers and a long-sleeved tunic, similar to the traditional Quincy attire. He wears this so people can recognize him. He now simply wants to be seen as a kind, ordinary ninja. Natsume herself now wears a red long-sleeved jacket with the Uzumaki symbol on the back. She also wears red trousers to match the jacket she is wearing. Her blonde hair that she usually has loose is now tied in a red ponytail. /N. Her hairstyle is the same as Senna's in Bleach Movie 1. And now they had arrived at the academy. Naruto's face looked bored. Both of his hands were now in his pockets and great. Now he was the center of everyone's attention, for some reason. Not knowing what to do, he just smiled warmly at the people there, and it was seen that some of the girls there blushed a little at Naruto's smile. And now, after waiting for 30 minutes of lecture from his father about protecting Konoha, the most talented ninja ever in this academy, dying for the village, and only one word that Naruto can say right now, pathetic. What's the point of us training all this time just to protect someone? According to Naruto, it's pathetic. Wasting our lives just for someone. It's their own fault. Why do they need protection, and why do they trust their lives in the hands of others? This is the world of shinobi. Never trust anyone, even if it's your own friend. And Naruto has a principle: friends at the beginning, enemies at the end. After the lecture, they were all finally in their classrooms. Naruto looked around. This year's class was filled with interesting people, and perhaps he could involve one of them in his plans. Oh, maybe all of them. From the far right corner, Aburame Shino is standing. He's wearing a jacket that covers the lower half of his face, and he's also wearing sunglasses hiding 70% of his face. He's also wearing black shorts. Then in the middle there was Yamanaka Ino and her friend, a pink-haired girl whose name Naruto didn't know. Then right behind Ino were Akimichi Chuji and Nara Shikamaru. In front of Ino and her friends were exactly the people Naruto was looking for. Uchiha Sasuke and Uchiha Tatsuki. Tatsuki was allowed to follow her brother in the academy this year because the Uchiha duo were the favorite children of the council. After studying Sasuke's expression and actions, Naruto could tell that Sasuke was devastated by the massacre of his clan, and Naruto could tell that the only thing on his mind was killing Itachi. Naruto could take advantage of that. While Tatsuki herself, she has shoulder-length black hair like Makoto, and unlike Sasuke, Tatsuki looks easygoing and tries to make friends. Her personality is more like Itachi. She wears a traditional Uchiha shirt, which is a black shirt with the Uchiha symbol on the back, and wears a black skirt that is above the knee. Of course, Tatsuki also wears tight shorts to avoid perverted students. And the one who caught Naruto's attention again was Hyuga Hinata, the person Neji hated so much. And If Naruto could make Hinata crazy about him to the point where she would do anything for him, he could use that for Niji. Oh well, Naruto's evil thoughts had to be put aside for now, as he was currently acting like a good guy. And when everyone looked at him, Naruto simply smiled warmly, making several girls blush and instantly forming fangirl groups. He and Natsumi were now sitting to the right of Tatsuki and Sasuke. After Naruto smiled warmly at Tatsuki, which earned him a death glare from Sasuke, Tatsuki and Natsumi now chatted together and left Naruto with an overly serious emo. Oh well, these 6 years in the academy are going to be hell for Naruto. A few hours later, the first day at the academy was filled with introductions from the teachers and the academy's learning process, and lectures on how successful the academy was in Konoha. After several hours of fighting off sleep, Naruto finally went home and did the only thing he always did, practice. After obtaining Kyuka-Suigetsu, Naruto began to train seriously, whether in his mindscape or in his private training ground, of course only he knew, not his family. And after obtaining Quincy powers, Naruto began to double his training. Now, Naruto was waiting at the academy gates for Natsumi, who was still gossiping with her new friends. Naruto was forced to wait because Kushina was going to pick them up and take them home. Naruto looked to the side and saw someone he might be able to make his subordinate, Uchiha Sasuke. Naruto studied him for a moment, before Sasuke noticed his gaze and raised an eyebrow, still with the scowl that never seemed to leave his face. "Oh, hello, Uchiha-san," Naruto greeted politely. Sasuke just stared at him for a moment. "Namikaze-san," Sasuke replied briefly. Naruto only grinned briefly before his eyes caught Kushina Namikaze, or Kushina Uzumaki. Naruto simply waved his hand, and Kushina waved back. "Natsumi-chan, let's go home," Naruto called out to Natsumi, who was still busy chatting. Natsumi then nodded and ran towards him before saying goodbye to her friends. "See you later, Tatsuki-chan, Hinata-chan, Ino-chan, Sakura-chan." After Naruto and Natsumi left, Sasuke and Tatsuki left too. Good opportunity, Naruto thought. "Kasama, I'm gonna go for a while. I'll be back in time for dinner, Jenny." With that, Naruto left, leaving Kushina and Natsumi confused. After getting out of Kushina and Natsumi's sight, Naruto created 2 Kage Bunshin, spy on Uchiha Sasuke, don't let anyone see you, including Anbu or Root. Understand, Naruto ordered. Naruto's 2 clones nodded and disappeared in a puff of smoke using the Shunshin no Jutsu. Naruto then used a teleportation technique to travel to his private training area. Upon arriving there, Naruto unseals Kyuka-Suigetsu. After that, he creates a Kage Bunshin to spar with him and train his Kenjutsu style called Zanjutsu, which he took from Aizen Susuk's memory. After several hours of training, Naruto created 3 Kage Bunshin to practice Kidu, or demon art. Like ninjutsu, Kidu uses spells instead of hand seals. Kidu can be performed without spells, but the results are weaker. From Aizen Susuk's memories, Naruto now knows a lot about the Kido and only needs to practice them. In 2 weeks of training, he has only mastered Kido 1 to 33. The others are still being learned. In the remaining time of his training, Naruto used to train his Quincy powers by practicing to master Harankyaku and Blood. Harankyaku is a Quincy technique that allows the user to move at high speeds by channeling Reisher under their feet, and then moving as fast as possible. Harankyaku, judging from Aizen's memories, is faster than Shunpa used by Shinigami and Sonito used by high-ranking hollows. And Naruto has the powers of both Shinigami and Quincy. We can imagine how fast Naruto would be if he combined Harankyaku and Shunpa. Meanwhile, Blood is divided into 2 techniques, Blood Vene and Blood Art Iri. The way to use the Blood technique is to channel Reisher throughout the bloodstream and the user's strength can increase drastically. Blood Vene drastically increases the user's endurance, rendering even a kunai unable to damage their skin. If trained to full power, even a Raisin Shuriken can only slightly damage Blood Vene. Furthermore, A-rank ninjutsu cannot harm the user at all. A characteristic of Blood Vene users is that the veins in some parts of the body become more visible, resembling those of a Byakugan user. Then, Blood Art Iri allows the user to use monster power like Tsunade's, but much stronger than Tsunade's. If trained to full power, a single flick to the chest on an untrained adult who rarely eats and whose immune system is weak can instantly kill them. Cool, right? That's why Naruto is most enthusiastic about training Blood after he mastered both Blood and Harankyaku techniques. Naruto will learn the more difficult Quincy techniques, namely Ransutengai and Quincy. Volstandig. There is one technique that caught Naruto's attention, namely Quincy. Let's still, but to activate it Naruto needs the Sanray glove, which of course doesn't exist in this world. So, Naruto can't learn that technique. After training, Naruto headed home. 6 years in the academy, and he had to act in front of people. Oh, I hope Naruto can stay strong because these 6 years are going to be so troublesome. Chapter 3, Genin Exam, Forbidden Scroll and Team 7. Trusting in someone is the same as depending on them. That is something the weak do. We have no use for it. Aizen Susuke. It's been 6 years since Naruto and Natsumi entered the academy. During those 6 years, Naruto also managed to make an entire village fall under Kyuka Suigetsu's illusion. Now, everyone in Konoha has seen Kyuka Suigetsu's initial release, or Shurikai, which means Naruto can hypnotize an entire ninja village. And of course, Naruto is delighted. For 6 years, Naruto also gained a lot of fangirls. All the girls in his class somehow became fangirls because of his good looks, kindness, and how he treated others. Because of that, many people began to admire him. And yes, it was all just an illusion. Naruto was just acting. Oh, how great he was at acting. And also, for 6 years, Naruto got a new little brother from Minato and Kushina. 5 years ago, Kushina was pregnant, and 5 years ago, Naruto got a new little brother. His name is Hikaru Namikaze, a boy with spiky red hair and blue eyes. He also seems to really love and admire Naruto even though he is only a 5-year-old boy. Naruto wants to see the potential that Hikaru has, and Hikaru, even though he is 5 years old, has a lot of potential. Unfortunately, Naruto will be leaving this village in a few years. And everything has been planned by Naruto in detail. For the next 6 years, Naruto trained Neji diligently for his plan. Now, Naruto could confidently assume he could fight and defeat 5 ANBU captains if he were serious. Naruto trained more often in his mindscape with Kyuka Suigetsu because time passed more quickly there. And 2 years ago, he gained a new subordinate, Uchiha Sasuke. However, contrary to his expectations, Sasuke didn't involve Tatsuki in Naruto's deal, and Naruto still remembered when he convinced Sasuke to become his subordinate. Flashback. Sasuke was now walking in the dark of the night. He was finishing buying some snacks for himself and his younger brother, Tatsuki Uchiha. And, at that moment, Sasuke's eyes caught someone with neatly swept back blonde hair and a strand of hair falling on his forehead. Sasuke narrowed his eyes slightly. Ever since he met Namikaze Naruto, he'd been feeling uneasy. Everything he did seemed an act. His smile seemed fake to Sasuke. And Sasuke could tell from Naruto's eyes he wasn't ordinary. Realizing he was being stared at, Naruto simply grinned. Ah, Uchiha-san, how are you? How's your academy going? Naruto greeted, trying to make small talk. Sasuke narrowed his eyes even further, his instincts telling him to run, but he didn't. Don't be silly, Namikaze. I know you wanted to see me, Sasuke replied harshly. Naruto grinned even harder. Ah, why would you think that, Uchiha-kun? Do you see me as dangerous? Or are you afraid of me? With that, Naruto released his Reiatsu, making it difficult for Sasuke to breathe. Sasuke was shocked. His eyes widened. What is this? I feel scared. It's like I'm facing God himself. What is this? Who are you really, Naruto Namikaze? Sasuke just stood there, not moving. Naruto grinned again. How about we make a deal, Uchiha-kun? Naruto offered. Sasuke remained silent. He didn't answer, but he continued to listen. He was still nervous and afraid of Naruto's spiritual pressure. Naruto, seeing the Uchiha's expression, couldn't help but smile and remove his spiritual pressure so Sasuke could focus on what he was saying. You realize, right? I knew I couldn't hide it from you. You're too smart, Uchiha. The Nara already suspects me. And surely, right now you're thinking, how strong are you, Namikaze? Let me answer what you're thinking. I'm currently as strong as an elite jounin. And I'm the fastest person in Konoha. Faster than the Yondaime himself. Naruto explained and again made Sasuke's eyes widen in disbelief. Naruto grinned at Sasuke's expression. Let me show you my strength. If we were enemies, you would probably already die. In less than a second, Naruto was in front of Sasuke with a kunai in Sasuke's chest. Sasuke was shocked again and stared at Naruto in disbelief. Naruto was in front of him, leaning against a tree. He then blinked and saw Naruto standing in front of him with a kunai in his chest. Sasuke, with a reflection, immediately jumped back and immediately made several hand seals. Katan, Gukaku no Jutsu. Sasuke released a medium-sized fireball at Naruto. Naruto just grinned. He then cut his thumb slightly and wiped his palm with his blood, and then a katana appeared in his hand. With ease, he swung his katana at Sasuke's fireball and Sasuke's fireball split. Sasuke gritted his teeth and immediately ran towards Naruto. He tried to kick Naruto, but was blocked by Naruto's katana. Sasuke tried to punch him, but Naruto immediately disappeared from his sight and was then kicked from behind. Naruto just smiled. I don't mean to fight, Uchiha-kun. I already told you I'm offering you a deal, Naruto offered. Sasuke narrowed his eyes at Naruto angrily. I'm listening, he responded. Naruto grinned. You want power to fulfill your ambition, right? I will give you power and I will train you. Sasuke grinned. This was a good deal. Naruto could give him power. However, he knew nothing in this world was free. What's the price? Sasuke asked. Naruto just smiled. You have to be loyal to me, Uchiha-kun, because we will be partners. Besides, what's the point of being loyal to this village, Uchiha-kun? Sasuke just gave a confused expression. What do you mean? Don't you realize why you're always idolized by the council? Or the reason why Itachi killed your clan? Naruto said with a smirk on his face. Sasuke just looked at Naruto with a confused expression. You are feared, Sasuke. The council is afraid of the Uchiha. Therefore, they treat you like a prince to make you loyal to the village, and they want to make you and Tatsuki become weapons for them. They can't help you achieve your ambition. They will never let you leave the village because you are an asset of the village. Because they are afraid of you, Uchiha-kun. They are afraid of the Sharingan. I even heard my father talking to the council to give you the loyalty seal to Tatsuki and you. They want to make you weapons for this arrogant village. Naruto explained with a smirk on his face. Sasuke clenched his fists in anger. How dare they use the loyalty seal on Tatsuki to use her as a weapon? He couldn't let them. Then, do you want to know the truth behind the Uchiha clan massacre? This statement shocked Sasuke. Truth? What did he mean? What do you mean, Namikaze? Sasuke asked. Naruto just grinned. Oh, let me explain from the beginning. I'm just making it short. The village of Konoha fears and hates the Uchiha clan. Have you ever wondered why the Uchiha clan compound is located on the outskirts of the village while the other clans are inside the village? Because the village is too afraid of the Uchiha. Fed up with the village's behavior, the Uchiha clan planned a coup d'etat. Naruto explained. That statement shocked Sasuke. Now it was clear. He'd also wondered why the Uchiha clan compound was located on the outskirts of the village. They chose Itachi as a spy in Konoha, and Itachi agreed. Unfortunately, his actions were discovered by one of Konoha's elders, Shimura Danzu. The elder was indeed very cunning. Then, he asked Itachi to slaughter his entire clan, killing two birds with one stone. The Uchiha clan could be extinct, Konoha's ninjas would be safe and not involved, and Uchiha Itachi could become an S-class missing nin and could die out there. Naruto explained. Sasuke was even more shocked. Why did Itachi accept it? Sasuke growled. Naruto smirked. He had been expecting this question. Because, if someone else were to undertake this mission, he wouldn't be able to save you and Tatsuki-san. Isn't that obvious? If he refused, then Danzu would send someone else and kill you and Tatsuki and make Itachi the suspect. Itachi knew that. That's why he saved you and Tatsuki, hoping that you would hate this village, so that you could put an end to what the clan was planning. Naruto continued. Sasuke remained silent. Naruto had a point. Seeing Sasuke's silence, Naruto continued. That's why he said, hate me. Because he wanted your hatred to activate your Sharingan. It didn't work, apparently. Then, why did he put you in the Tsukuyomi Genjutsu and make you see your clan being massacred? He wanted you to activate your Manjikyu Sharingan by seeing someone you love die. The Manjikyu Sharingan activates when someone feels extremely guilty and regretful for the actions they have done. And it seems like Itachi failed again. Doesn't it make sense when he said he wants to see you again when you get the same eyes as him? Sasuke remained silent again. How do you know all this? Sasuke asked. Naruto grinned again. Being the Hokage's son has its perks, you know, and the rest is my own analysis. And usually my analysis is accurate. Sasuke remained silent, his fists clenched. Then, what about the deal you were talking about? Sasuke reminded him. Naruto smiled again. Ah yes, how foolish of me. Here's the deal, I know you want to destroy Konoha now and I'll help you. We're the same, Sasuke. We know what suffering means. You and I are quite alike. Do you think being the son of the Hokage means I'll live in wealth? No. So how about it? Do you agree? Naruto asked. Sasuke remained silent before nodding. Okay, I agree, Sasuke replied. Naruto just grinned and then took 2 scrolls from his pocket and threw them at Sasuke. As proof of our deal. The scrolls contain the A-rank and S-rank Katan Jutsu that I created. And don't tell anyone, Uchiha-kun. You can invite Tatsuki-chan to join, or you cannot tell her. It's all up to you. Just act like nothing happened, Naruto said. He then said 2 more words, shatter, Kyuka Suigetsu. And Sasuke's world shattered and now revealed Naruto still leaning against a tree and Sasuke still watching Naruto. Sasuke examined the condition of his body. His body was still new as if nothing had happened. The difference was now he was holding 2 scrolls. And the difference from Naruto now held a katana in his right hand. What happened? Was it all an illusion? It seemed real. I can even still smell the smoke from the Katan Jutsu that I released. Sasuke muttered. Naruto grinned again. I'll explain tomorrow. Come to training ground 19 tomorrow after the academy. We'll begin your training, and I'll be going now. With that, Naruto disappeared from Sasuke's sight. And Sasuke returned to the Uchiha clan compound as if nothing had happened. On top of a tall building, a young man with blonde and blue hair watched Sasuke walk with a smirk on his face. It was easy enough to manipulate Sasuke. Everything was just as I planned. The figure then disappeared again. Flashback off. Iruka watched his class, which was currently in a noisy state. The topic was always the same. Sasuke and Naruto fangirls arguing to prove which one was better. Naruto would then calm the class down with a soft voice, making all the girls blush. Then, after a few minutes of praising Naruto, the 2 fangirl clubs would fight again. All the teachers at the academy admired him for his polite, warm, friendly, and smiling demeanor. Yes, Iruka admitted that Naruto was the kindest and most polite child. But when Iruka saw Naruto, he felt strange. His smile gave off an aura that made Iruka uncomfortable. This year's academy is filled with potential students. First, there is Namikaze Naruto, who many say is a prodigy, and always gets good grades in all categories, and Iruka is sure he will be a successful ninja. Then there was Naruto's own twin sister, Namikaze Natsumi. In the 6 years since Iruka first met her, she had grown a lot. She was now 5 feet 8 inches. She wore a long-sleeved dark red shirt with the Uzumaki symbol on the back. She also wore the same skirt as Tatsuki and her hairstyle was still the same as 6 years ago. But when she was at home, she took off her ponytail and let her shoulder-length blonde hair flow a little. She wasn't as great as Naruto and Sasuke, the 2 prodigies in the class, but she was the best female student in the class. Below her were Uchiha Tatsuki, Yamanaka Ino, Hyuga Hinata, and Haruno Sakura. Then there are Uchiha Sasuke and Uchiha Tatsuki. The siblings always get good grades. But Sasuke is always better than Tatsuki. Sasuke himself hasn't changed much since 6 years ago. Sasuke now wears a blue Uchiha shirt with the Uchiha symbol on the back and white shorts. And of course he is taller than 6 years ago. Then Tatsuki herself is still the same. She is now shorter than Natsumi. Her hair is now shoulder length. She still wears the same clothes as 6 years ago, except now her shirt is blue and her skirt is white while her tights are black. And many of the other students have changed. There are still heirs from the clans in Konoha. From Nara there is Nara Shikamaru. From Akimichi there is Akimichi Chuji. From Yamanaka there is Yamanaka Ino. From Inuzuka there is nothing. The heir of the Inuzuka clan is Inuzuka Hana. From Hyuga there is Hyuga Hinata. From Aburame there is Aburame Shino. And several other students. Oh, Iruka was so proud to have been their teacher, and it was time to start the Genin exams. Naruto sat next to Sasuke. Naruto grinned at Sasuke. Ohayo, Uchiha-kun. Naruto greeted. Sasuke looked at Naruto for a moment. Naruto was still wearing his Quincy clothes like 6 years ago. And of course bigger. If Naruto called him Uchiha-kun, he already knew there was something that needed to be discussed. And of course, so that everyone wouldn't be suspicious, Naruto used the illusion of Kyuka Suigetsu, which was now no longer sealed in his palm but was on his back. He used the illusion of Kyuka Suigetsu to make it look like Naruto and Sasuke were just silent. Ada APA, Namikaze Taicho? Tanya Sasuke. Naruto sat next to Sasuke. Who do you want to be placed with? This year, because there are too many potential students, now for people will be placed in one team with one Jounin sensei. So, who do you want to choose the other two? Naruto offered. Sasuke grinned. You can even choose your own team, Namikaze Taicho? It must be really nice being the son of the Hokage. Naruto returned Sasuke's smirk. No, this is enough to just suggest to Minato. The team's decision is in the hands of the council and the Hokage. Naruto explained. Sasuke seemed to think first. You will definitely be placed in the same team as Natsumi. Honestly, I want to be in the same team as Tatsuki. But our plan will be smoother. I choose Hinata. She will be very useful for the smooth running of our plan, Sasuke said. Naruto seemed to think about it first. Don't worry. If it's Hinata, she can be relied on. Whether she's on the team or not, our plan can still be carried out. I've already gained her trust, and even from her face, her movements and expressions, she really admires me and is willing to do anything for me. Naruto grinned. Sasuke just nodded. Who do you think will be our sensei? Sasuke asked. Naruto looked thoughtful. Hatake Kakashi. Naruto answered briefly. Sasuke raised his eyebrows in confusion. Why would you think that? He asked. Naruto just grinned. If you and Tatsuki are really on the same team as me and Natsumi, then Kakashi would be a suitable Jounin sensei. Not only because my father, Minato, is his former sensei and very close to me, he is also the only Sharingan user in the village, and the council will tell Kakashi to train you and Tatsuki to use the Sharingan when the time comes. Naruto explained. Sasuke grinned. There seems to be something wrong with the statement you mentioned, Namikaze Taicho. Naruto just smiled. Yes. I mean, one of the two Sharingan users in the village. Naruto had Sasuke activate his Sharingan by trapping him in a life-and-death situation under Kyuka Suigetsu's illusionary constriction. Sasuke now has 3 Tomo Sharingan, but he still can't control them properly. And of course no one knows this except Naruto, Neji, and Sasuke himself. Neji and Sasuke have now grown up together and trained alongside Naruto. Naruto often trains with the 3 of them to perfect his techniques or show them new ones. Neji and Sasuke have now become rivals, always striving to defeat each other. Enough of the nostalgia. Irika was currently giving a lecture about the Genin exams and calling out students one by one. Namikaze Naruto, Irika called. Naruto nodded, drawing cheers from his fangirls, but he only responded with a warm smile that made them blush and swoon. All the male students sweat dropped at this. Naruto was now in a room. In front of him were his 2 sensei, Irika and Mizuki. Naruto just nodded to them both and they both nodded back at Naruto. Okay, Naruto, try doing a henge, Irika ordered. Naruto nodded. He then made a hand seal and poof. Now stood Minato Namikaze complete with his trademark kunai and his Hokage jacket, smiling at the 2 of them while posing. Irika nodded. Good Naruto. Try doing the kawarimi, Irika ordered again. Naruto then made a hand seal, and now Naruto's position was replaced by a wooden stick that was provided. Do a bun shin, Mizuki ordered, his tone sounding slightly frustrated and angry. Naruto remained silent, listening to his tone. Naruto made a hand seal and poof, there were 4 people like him. Irika smiled at this, while Mizuki looked angry, judging by his expression and movements. Congratulations, Naruto. You're officially a Konohagakure Genin. Wear your Hitai 8 with pride, Irika exclaimed. Naruto nodded, gave Irika a warm smile, and then put his Hitai 8 on his right arm. He entered the classroom wearing his headband, earning compliments from his classmates, to which he replied with thanks and a smile, making some of the girls blush. Congratulations, Naruto-kun, said Hinata Hyuga's voice. Naruto smiled warmly at her. I appreciate your words, Hinata-chan. You too. Congratulations on becoming a Genin too, Naruto said warmly. Hinata blushed, then smiled back and nodded, before returning to sit next to Kiba. Kiba, meanwhile, hit Naruto on the shoulder. Yo Naruto, I knew you'd pass. How about we celebrate at Barbecue Q? There'll be others there, Kiba offered Naruto. Naruto smiled at Kiba. Kiba-san, no need to bother. After all, Tusama wants me home after we're done. Naruto politely declined. Kiba smiled and nodded, saying it was okay, and then went back to chatting with Shikamaru and Chuji. Naruto sat back down in his chair. His fangirls always asked him out, and he politely declined, unlike Sasuke who would just stay silent or say no. After Naruto, it was Natsume's turn. After a few minutes of waiting, Natsumi finally entered with Konoha's Hitai 8 around her neck, just like Hinata, and stared at Naruto, as if expecting words of praise. Naruto smiled warmly at her. "Good job, Emuto-chan. Kasama and Tusama will definitely be proud of you," Naruto said. Natsumi folded her arms across her chest and then frowned. "But my test scores weren't as good as yours, Aniki." Natsumi then frowned. Naruto smiled at her. "Even so, I'm still proud of you, Emuto-chan. After all, an older brother must protect his younger sister. That's why I trained hard to protect you." Naruto replied warmly with a smile. Natsumi was seen blushing and trying to cover it up, while the other women stared at her with glares. After that, Uchiha Sasuke was called, and a few minutes later came out with a Konoha headband on his forehead. After that, Uchiha Tatsuki was called, and came out with a Konoha headband around his neck, just like Hinata and Natsumi. Naruto looked at Natsumi and smiled. "Ah, Tatsuki-san, Sasuke-san, congratulations on becoming genin," Naruto said. Sasuke simply replied "Achin," earning him a slight smack from Tatsuki for being rude. "Ah, Naruto-kun, thank you," Tatsuki exclaimed. Naruto nodded. After all the students were finished, Irika and Mizuki came back into the class to congratulate them, and the students had to come back in 3 days for the team announcement. Afterward, the students were sent home. They all looked happy to be genin, showing off their headbands. Naruto had to hold back a frown as he watched them. Seriously, they'd just become genin and knew nothing about ninja. Naruto was now walking home with Natsumi beside him, who was telling him a lot of things. Naruto was forced to smile and politely respond to her acting. Naruto-kun. Natsumi looked like she wanted to ask something, but was confused. Naruto raised his eyebrows in confusion at Natsumi's behavior. Natsumi's face also looked red. Was Natsumi sick? Naruto shook his head. There was no way, because of the Kyuubi, Natsumi would never be sick. "What's wrong, Natsumi-chan?" Naruto asked, confused. Natsumi turned her head and muttered something Naruto couldn't hear. Naruto raised an eyebrow, completely confused. Could you repeat that, Natsumi-chan?" Naruto asked. Natsumi gritted her teeth. Her face was already very red. "I said, is there a girl in class that you like?" Natsumi asked. Naruto tilted his head. What kind of girl did he like? He didn't have a particular girl he liked. But if he were to act, he liked all the girls. His mother, Natsumi, Hinata, Tatsuki, and the others. Seriously, what was Natsumi asking? And he swore he could hear Kyuka Suigetsu laughing in his mind. "What do you mean, Natsumi-chan? Of course I like you. Kasama, Hinata-chan, Tatsuki-san, Ino-san, Sakura-san, and everyone else," Naruto replied in an innocent tone. This time Naruto wasn't acting, he was truly confused. Natsumi looked frustrated. He's a genius at everything. But seriously, he doesn't know anything about this. Natsumi thought in frustration. She then calmed herself down a bit. It's your own fault, Natsumi. Falling in love with your own brother." Natsumi then sighed. She then turned her face away. "Never mind, it won't happen," Natsumi replied in an angry tone. Naruto raised an eyebrow. Seriously, he had no idea. What in the hell? Naruto thought. He then just ignored it, thinking it was Natsumi's useless nonsense. Before they knew it, they had arrived at the Namikaze estate, where Natsumi and Naruto lived. They opened the gate, walked a short distance, and then they were at the door. Natsumi immediately entered the house, leaving Naruto, who had previously closed the gate. "I'm back, Seru Natsumi. Congratulations on becoming a genin, Natsumi-chan," Kushina exclaimed. Natsumi then realized who was in the house. There was her mother, Jiraiya, Tsunade, and her new little brother, Hikaru. Everyone seemed to be celebrating. "Mom, Erosenin, Tsunade-bachan, Hikaru Emuto, Seru Natsumi Bahagia." Jiraiya and Tsunade looked a little annoyed because of their nicknames, while Kushina and Hikaru looked happy to see Natsumi. Before they could continue, Naruto arrived at the door. He politely took off his ninja sandals and placed them on the shoe rack. Naruto also noticed Natsume's 2 sandals were out of place. He sighed, then took 2 of Natsume's sandals and placed them on the rack. Natsumi-chan, how many times have I told you? After you get home, put your sandals on the shelf, Naruto said. He then looked at Jiraiya and Tsunade. Jiraiya-sama, Tsunade-sama. Naruto greeted formally. Jiraiya was seen smiling widely. There she is, my favorite child. Natsumi, you should be polite like Naruto and respect your elders, Jiraiya exclaimed. Tsunade was seen nodding in agreement, while Natsumi looked pouting. Jiraiya-sama, Tsunade-sama, may I know why you two are here? Naruto asked. Jiraiya raised his eyebrows at Naruto's question. Brat, aren't you happy to see me, huh? He asked back with a pout. Naruto shook his head and smiled. I'm sorry, Jiraiya-sama. I was just wondering why someone as busy as you would come to this house, he asked. From beside Naruto, Natsumi pouted and crossed her arms over her chest. Busy with what? Busy writing arrow novels, Natsumi said mockingly, earning a death glare from Jiraiya. They chatted for a while and gave Naruto and Natsumi gifts. Natsumi received a tight dress from Jiraiya that showed off her curves, Jiraiya a nosebleed, and Kushina and Tsunade a jitaken. From Tsunade, Natsumi received a first aid kit. From Kushina, Natsumi received a Fuinjutsu beginner's book. Naruto also received gifts. From Kushina, he received several books on the Uzumaki clan's Kenjutsu style. From Tsunade, he received a beginner's book on becoming a medic nin. And from Jiraiya, Naruto stared at Jiraiya with a neutral gaze. He raised an eyebrow when he saw Jiraiya's wide smile, his cheeks flushing. Naruto sensed that it was a lecherous smile. Kushina, Tsunade, and Natsumi also eyed Jiraiya suspiciously. Suddenly, Jiraiya took something out of his pocket and showed it to Naruto. It was a book, and Naruto saw the title, Ikaraika Violence. Naruto, you've grown up. It's time for you to become a man. Take this book and be a man, Jiraiya exclaimed happily, seemingly oblivious to the killing intent Kushina and Tsunade were giving him behind him. Naruto slowly took the book from Jiraiya's hands. He didn't know what it was, but from what he heard, it was an adult book. He could have sworn he heard Kyuka Suigetsu laughing in his mind. He looked at the cover, and next to the title it said 18+. Naruto raised an eyebrow. He then handed the book back to Jiraiya. Sorry Jiraiya-sama. That book is for 18 years and above, and I'm not old enough, Jiraiya-sama. Naruto politely returned Jiraiya's book. Kushina and Tsunade smiled, while Natsumi pouted. No one knew it, but Natsumi was a fan of Arrow. Well, even a little bit. You won't be able to influence Naruto-kun, Databane. Kushina exclaimed happily that her son wasn't influenced by Jiraiya. Naruto, I'm proud of you, Tsunade said. Naruto glanced at them in confusion, raising an eyebrow. He shrugged indifferently. Ka-sama, Tsunade-sama, Jiraiya-sama, Natsumi-chan, I'm going to my room now. Today was very tiring. Night. That night, Naruto woke up again. He decided to investigate Mizuki this time. He sensed the man was up to something and he was curious. If Naruto Namikaze was curious about something, he would investigate it until he was satisfied. Naruto exited through his window, before making the acting Kage Bunshin go to sleep in his room. He then concentrated on finding Mizuki's chakra. After a few seconds of concentration, he finally found Mizuki. And he wondered what Mizuki was doing in the Hokage Tower. After performing Shuinpa several times, he finally arrived at the Hokage Tower. He saw Mizuki secretly taking a forbidden scroll containing Konoha's forbidden techniques. Naruto smirked, perhaps this situation could work in his favor. He silently followed Mizuki and saw him heading out of Konoha. Naruto decided to kill Mizuki in the forest bordering Konoha and then retrieve the scroll. Perhaps he could give it to Sasuke or Neji for their training. He immediately performed Shuinpa in front of Mizuki. And sure enough, Mizuki looked shocked by something that suddenly appeared. Mizuki thought he'd been caught. Naruto grinned. Mizuki-san. We met under unfortunate circumstances. I only asked to hand over the scroll, and you won't feel any pain, Naruto said. Mizuki looked at Naruto, before smiling maniacally. You're just an academy graduate. What can you do? Even if you're the son of the Yondaime, you're still an academy graduate. You have no hope of fighting a chunin like me, Mizuki exclaimed while laughing maniacally. Naruto remained silent, his smile still on his face. Oh, you assume so? Underestimating your opponent will get you killed, Lord Chunin. Let me tell you what I can do. If I were serious, you would already be dead. In less than a second, Naruto was in front of Mizuki. His fingers were on Mizuki's chest. Naruto grinned. He loved toying with his enemies like this. Mizuki widened her eyes. No way. The boy was in front of her and then she blinked, and he was right in front of her. Mizuki immediately jumped back. She glared at Naruto with an angry look. What did you say, little boy? I don't know what your little trick is, but I'm stronger than you. You're dead. With that, Mizuki threw the Fuma Shuriken that was behind her. Naruto remained silent. His arrogant smile remained on his face. His blue eyes stared at Mizuki as if he were nothing more than an ant. Mizuki smirked when he saw that Naruto didn't try to escape and seemed to accept the Fuma Shuriken. Naruto stretched his hand forward, and, to Mizuki's shock, Naruto caught the Fuma Shuriken as if it were just a ball. He then threw the Fuma Shuriken aside. Mizuki's eyes widened in shock again. Naruto's hands were still in his pockets, and his posture was still relaxed. I'm not really impressed with your skills so far, Mizuki-san. Directly fighting the enemy without planning a strategy is a big mistake for ninjas. I don't even need to use Kyuka Suigetsu to fight you. In less than a second, Naruto was behind Mizuki, who looked scared. Goodbye, Mizuki-san. With that, Naruto stabbed Mizuki in the heart with just his pointed hand. Naruto removed his hand from Mizuki's body and wiped the blood from his palm. He then used the Keton technique to burn Mizuki's body, and then walked over to pick up the forbidden scroll that Mizuki had dropped. He opened the scroll, and then stared at the contents of the scroll with a grin on his face. Ah, Uchiha-kun and Hyuga-kun will definitely love this. -2 days later. Currently, Naruto was in class. It was his last day at the academy, and it was time for the teams to be divided. After Naruto killed Mizuki and obtained the forbidden scroll, he gave it to Sasuke and Neji. They read it carefully and tried out the techniques contained within. There's a technique that caught Naruto's attention, Edo Tensei. It brings the dead back to life. It's truly fascinating. After the incident, his father, the Hokage, immediately went searching for the scroll. Irika informed the Yondaime that Mizuki had taken it, and when the ANBU searched for Mizuki and couldn't find him, his father simply assumed that Mizuki was already outside the land of fire and resigned himself to it. Naruto turned his attention back to Irika when his name was called. Team 7, Namikaze Naruto. All the girls immediately shouted when Naruto's name was called. Namikaze Natsumi? Natsumi immediately said, yes. When placed in the team with her brother, Uchiha Sasuke, all the girls immediately shouted back, and Uchiha Tatsuki. All the girls in the class immediately glared at Tatsuki and Natsumi. Sensei, Ino shouted, making Irika turn his attention to her. How can Natsumi-chan and Tatsuki-chan get two handsome guys in class? Ino protested. Irika just sweat-dropped. This is Hokage-sama's choice, Irika exclaimed. The class immediately fell silent. Irika sighed, and then read the team names again. Team 8, Haruno Sakura, Hyuga Hinata, Inazuka Kiba, and Aburame Shino. Team 9 is still in circulation. Team 10, Yamanaka Ino, Akimichi Chuji, and Nara Shikamaru. After finishing reading the team members, Irika immediately gave a lecture to his students. Afterward, everyone waited for their respective sensei. 2 hours later, only Team 7 was left in the classroom. All the other teams had arrived, but only Team 7 remained. Natsumi looked frustrated and paced back and forth in front of the class. Sasuke, even though he tried to cover it up, could see on his face that he was frustrated. Tatsuki, tapping the table with her fingers, and her face looked sullen. Naruto himself, he stared at the door while supporting his chin with his hand. Ark, where is our sensei? Natsumi shouted in frustration. Naruto raised his eyebrows when he saw Natsumi frustrated. Such a low temper, Naruto thought. Tatsuki seemed to nod in agreement. Who exactly is our sensei? If he's 2 hours late, he can't be our sensei, Tatsuki protested. Sasuke only mumbled incoherently as a sign of agreement. Hatake Kakashi, when I leave Konoha, I will definitely kill you first. Naruto thought. Be patient, Natsumi-chan, Tatsuki-chan. I'm sure Sensei was in trouble on his way here. Naruto reassured them with a smile, making Natsumi and Tatsuki blush. Before their conversation could continue, the classroom door opened, revealing a man with spiky white hair, dressed in traditional Jounin attire, and a black mask. He appeared to be observing his students. My first impression when I saw you guys was that you were boring. Meet me on the roof. With that, he disappeared in a puff of smoke. Naruto, Natsumi, Sasuke, and Tatsuki left the classroom and went to the roof. There, they saw Kakashi leaning his body, and in his hand was the Ikarika Jiraiya book. The four of them sat in front of Kakashi. Kakashi immediately closed his book and looked at the four of them. Okay, we're all here. How about we start introducing ourselves? Kakashi said. Naruto raised his hand. Sorry for the interruption, Sensei, but would you mind introducing yourself first? It's rude to ask someone else a question if we don't introduce ourselves first, Naruto said in a gentle tone. Naruto's three teammates nodded in agreement with Naruto. Kakashi smiled. All right, I'll introduce myself first. My name is Hatake Kakashi. You guys aren't old enough to know that. I don't like many things. My hobbies. You guys aren't old enough to know my hobbies either. And my dreams, for now, don't have any. Kakashi introduced, making his students sweat drop. Kakashi then pointed at Naruto. Now you, blonde number 1, Kakashi said. Naruto smiled warmly. My name is Namikaze Naruto. I like many things, especially training. I don't like cats. My hobbies are training, and sometimes playing with Hikaru-kun or Natsumi-chan. My dream is to become a successful ninja, Naruto said, getting some curious faces from his teammates. Naruto-kun, why don't you like cats? Tatsuki asked. Naruto smiled at her. I'm allergic to cats, Tatsuki-san. Naruto replied. Tatsuki nodded while blushing. Kakashi nodded. Next you, blonde number 2. Kakashi pointed at Natsumi. Natsumi smiled widely. My name is Namikaze Natsumi. Natsumi looked at Naruto while blushing, making Naruto raise his eyebrows. I like my family. Yes, it is. I don't like arrogant people and 3 minutes to wait for ramen. My hobby is training and my dream is to become the next Hokage, Natsumi exclaimed hyperactively. Kakashi sweat dropped slightly at Natsumi's introduction. He then pointed to Sasuke. Next, Uchiha number 1. Sasuke nodded. My name is Uchiha Sasuke. I don't like many things, and I don't like anything. My hobby is training. My ambition, is to kill someone and revive the Uchiha clan, Sasuke said, continuing his act. Natsumi felt a little creeped out when Sasuke said he wanted to kill someone. Kakashi nodded. Next you, Uchiha number 2. Kakashi pointed at Tatsuki. Tatsuki smiled and nodded. My name is Uchiha Tatsuki. I like Sasuke and Ai-san, she exclaimed, earning a death glare from Sasuke, and he only returned it with an innocent smile. I don't like my other brother, and vegetables. My hobby is reading books. My dream is to revive the Uchiha clan, Tatsuki said shyly at the end while glancing at Naruto with a blush. Kakashi sweat dropped slightly looking at his team. Oh great, I got a chick magnet, 2 fangirls and 1 emo, Kakashi thought. All right, tomorrow you must come to training ground 7 early in the morning to take your genin test. Oh no breakfast, you'll throw it up. I don't want to hear any complaints. Jareni. With that, Kakashi disappeared in a puff of smoke. Team 7 looked in the direction Kakashi had been. Wait, genin test, Natsumi exclaimed in disbelief. Tatsuki nodded, while Sasuke looked at Naruto for an explanation. After the academy, students will be tested again by their sensei in survival training to determine whether you are worthy of being a genin or not, Naruto said. Everyone nodded, and then went home. And now that left only Sasuke and Naruto. Naruto grinned as he nodded at Sasuke. Sasuke returned Naruto's nod. In a matter of seconds, they had both disappeared. It's time to put the first plan into action. The next day, Naruto, Sasuke, Tatsuki and Natsumi were at Training Ground 7. They looked frustrated at Training Ground 7. No, Sasuke, Tatsuki, and Natsumi looked frustrated while Naruto looked calm, and from his facial expression, he had already expected this. So what do they do that frustrates them? Waiting for Hatake Kakashi, of course. Arg, it's already 10 o'clock. I've been here since 6 o'clock. It's been 4 hours. I'll kill him when he comes, Natsumi shouted angrily. Tatsuki was already seen sleeping while leaning against a tree, while Sasuke was trying not to fall asleep because he was bored. Sensei only said that we should come in the morning, and he didn't say anything about the specific time for the test. If he said the test would be in the morning, that means the test could be done at any time from 12:01 a.m. to 11:59 a.m. Naruto explained calmly, smiling at Natsumi. Natsumi, hearing that, unfazed by her sister's smile, immediately glared at her. Why didn't you say so? Natsumi exclaimed angrily. She was not in a good mood. Before Natsumi could kill Naruto, Kakashi appeared in a puff of smoke. Smiling innocently at his students, "Oh hey-oo!" he exclaimed cheerfully, ignoring the death glare and killing intent he was receiving from Natsumi and Sasuke. At that moment, Tatsuki woke up and immediately pointed at Kakashi. "You're late!" she exclaimed in frustration. Kakashi smiled innocently at his team. "Oh yeah? I didn't say you had to come at 6 a.m. It's only 10 a.m. now, and that's still considered morning," he said innocently. Not wanting to make his students kill him, he pulled out 3 bells. "This is your test," he explained. The 4 students who hadn't officially joined Team 7 stared at the bell in confusion. Kakashi smiled at them again. "Your job is to get this bell for me before time runs out. You have 30 minutes, Kakashi explained. "But sensei, there are 3 bells and there are 4 of us," Natsumi said. Everyone nodded in agreement. "Yep, those who don't get the bell will be tied up and not allowed to eat their lunch, and," Kakashi paused for dramatic effect, "will be sent back to the academy," he continued. The 4 students' eyes immediately widened at this. "Very well, fight me with the intent to kill if you wish to succeed. The test begins now." With that, the 4 students immediately disappeared into hiding. Kakashi took out his Aika and read it quietly, while searching his students' chakra to find out where they were hiding. Natsumi is very bad at hiding her chakra trail. Logical because her chakra capacity is very large. Sasuke tries to hide his chakra trail but is still at a beginner level, as I thought. Tatsuki is quite good at hiding her chakra trail, even though her chakra is not completely hidden. Naruto is quite good at hiding his chakra, but is still at a low chunin level, Kakashi thought. All the while, Naruto observed Kakashi from behind the bushes with a calculating gaze. Even though I have the power of an ANBU captain, I have no experience fighting Jounin. Hatake Kakashi, even though he looks relaxed, I can tell that he is on guard. Interesting, Naruto thought. A few seconds later, Natsumi, who was impatient, immediately came out of her hiding place and fought one-on-one with Kakashi. Discover more. Cookie Consent Solutions. Books and Literature. Community Forum Services. As I thought, Natsumi will attack him first, Naruto thought. He saw Natsumi try to land a few punches on Kakashi, but Kakashi easily dodged them. Annoyed, Natsumi tried to kick him in the stomach with her left foot, and Kakashi managed to block it with his right hand, while his left hand was still holding the Aika book and reading it. Annoyed at being underestimated, Natsumi immediately jumped back and made a hand seal while grinning. "Kagebunshin no Jutsu," she exclaimed, making 5 clones of herself. This made Kakashi look slightly at Natsumi. "Kagebunshin? That's Jounin level ninjutsu," Kakashi said. He was then surrounded by Natsumi's clones from all directions. For the first time, Kakashi put his book back in his pocket. Maybe I should get a little serious if I'm outnumbered," Kakashi said again. Natsumi grinned. "Of course, you're going to lose." With that, all the Natsumi attacked Kakashi. Kakashi drew his kunai and threw one at lightning speed at the head of one of the clones, causing it to disappear in a puff of smoke. He then had to dodge a punch aimed at his head and then jump away from a sweep kick aimed at him. He then grabbed one of the clone's hands that was trying to hit Kakashi, kicked the clone in the stomach, and then kicked the clone in the head, causing it to disappear in a puff of smoke. After that, he ducked to avoid a blow from one of the clones that was trying to hit him from behind. He then grabbed the clone's shirt and threw it backwards, then stabbed a kunai into its chest, causing the clone to disappear in a puff of smoke. He took out 2 shuriken and threw them left and right at the clones that were trying to rush at him, causing them to disappear in a puff of smoke as well. There were only 2 Natsumes left. Kakashi assumed that one of them was the real Natsume, so he had to be careful not to kill her. The 2 Natsume grinned, and then shot towards Kakashi together. Kakashi easily caught the clone's 2 blows, and then jumped back to give him some distance. He pulled out his kunai and shot towards the 2 Natsumes. Both Natsumes were also seen pulling out kunai. Kakashi immediately darted towards one of the Natsumes and swung his kunai, which Natsume, of course, blocked with her own kunai, putting Kakashi in a headlock. His eyes widened when he saw another Natsume behind him and swinging a kunai at him. He, with difficulty, avoided it by jumping, and then went back to giving him some distance. "Hey! Get ready, Kakashi-sensei." With that, the 2 Natsumes immediately shot towards Kakashi. Kakashi simply smiled at them. He easily dodged the kunai swing that would have cut off his head by ducking, and then kicked Natsume, causing her to disappear in a puff of smoke. Kakashi grinned, finally recognizing the real Natsume. Before Natsume could swing her kunai again, Kakashi was already in front of her and performed a sweep kick, knocking her down, and now Kakashi was on top of her, pointing his kunai at Natsume's neck. "Well, if I were an enemy, you'd probably be dead by now, Natsume," Kakashi said, but he was a bit confused when he saw Natsume smirk, and his eyes widened when he saw Natsume disappear in a puff of smoke, a sign that it was a clone. He heard a crack from below, and instincts built up over years of ninja experience made him run away from it. Discover more. Auctions. Movies. Privacy policy templates. And sure enough, from the ground, Natsume appeared with an uppercut, but it didn't hit Kakashi, and now Natsume had her back to Kakashi. Kakashi crouched down, his hands forming a seal. Everyone watching the fight widened their eyes at the seal, while Kakashi grinned. "Let me show you one of my deadly jutsu, Natsume-chan," Kakashi said. "Konoha Taijutsu secret style, 1,000 Year of Death." Kakashi then stabbed his hand into Natsume's buttocks, sending Natsume flying in pain. Meanwhile, the remaining 3 students who saw Kakashi's jutsu just facepalmed, and each had different thoughts. "How amusing," Naruto thought. "Baka, is this guy really a jounin?" Sasuke thought. "Baka-sensei, Piker Tatsuki." Sasuke saw his chance and threw several shuriken straight at Kakashi. The shuriken hit Kakashi, but Kakashi's body immediately disappeared, replaced by a log. "Kawarimi, my position has been discovered. I have to run," Sasuke thought. Then he ran away from where he was. Kakashi saw everything from behind the tree. He knew Tatsuki was behind him, but he wanted to see what she was doing while her enemy wasn't looking. Seconds later, Kakashi heard Tatsuki's "Katan Gukakyu no Jutsu." He easily dodged the fireball, then glared at her with a kunai in his hand. Pretty good for a genin. Normal genin can't use C-rank jutsu, you know," Kakashi said casually. "All right, first ninja lesson, taijutsu." With that, Kakashi dashed towards Tatsuki and gave her a few punches. Tatsuki struggled to avoid each of Kakashi's blows, and several of his blows hit Tatsuki in the stomach. Kakashi swung his kunai at Tatsuki's neck, and Tatsuki struggled to duck. Seeing an opportunity, Tatsuki went for a sweep kick, but Kakashi easily jumped out of the way. While still in the air, Kakashi kicked Tatsuki in the chin, sending her flying. Meanwhile, Naruto was still watching everything from his hiding place. "He's just playing with us. I wanted to see his full strength," Naruto thought. A genin who just graduated from the academy has no hope of fighting a seasoned jounin like Hatake. "There's something behind this, I know," Naruto then thought back, putting together all the words Kakashi had given him since they first met. If you look at it, luring us all to fight each other for the bell. Distraction. So the real test is, of course, teamwork." Naruto grinned. "Maybe I was just pretending not to know. I wanted to see who would notice first." With that, Naruto immediately shot towards Kakashi. From afar, he activated a Quincy arrow made from Rapier, and then shot a blue arrow right at Kakashi's head. Kakashi, barely dodging it, made a cut on his cheek. He then looked in the direction the arrow came from and saw Naruto. Long-range fighter, eh? Kakashi thought. Ah, the prodigy. Alright. Second shinobi lesson, ninjutsu. With that, Kakashi made some hand seals, Suetun, Sugendan. Kakashi then shot several projectiles made of water at Naruto. Naruto saw this and desperately jumped up to avoid it. Licked Regan. From Naruto's bow, hundreds of arrows were fired at Kakashi. Kakashi, seeing this, widened his eyes. What a destructive technique! I knew Minato-sensei said that Naruto had a Kekii Genkai, but I didn't expect it to be like this, Kakashi thought, then quickly made a hand seal, Doton, Doryuhiki. Kakashi slammed his hands on the ground, creating a wall of earth that blocked most of the arrows Naruto shot, although Kakashi had to dodge a few. Kakashi then noticed Naruto struggling to breathe and assumed the technique had exhausted him from using so much chakra. Unbeknownst to him, Naruto was only pretending to be tired because he didn't want Kakashi to suspect anything. Kakashi then made another hand seal, Suetun, Teppadama, Kakashi exclaimed, releasing a water ball from his mouth, which successfully hit Naruto, sending him flying. Well, from his level, I'm guessing that Naruto is currently a low chunin, Kakashi thought. Meanwhile, in another area of Training Ground 7, Natsumi was seen in pain and kept throwing out killing intent. I'll kill him, Natsumi thought. Natsumi then saw one of the bells that had fallen. She raised her eyebrows and looked around to make sure something was wrong. She then smiled widely. It must have fallen while he was fighting, Natsumi thought. She then tried to pick up the bell, but it turned out to be a rope trap and left it hanging upside down. She then saw Kakashi take the bell and smile innocently at Natsumi. Well, Natsumi-chan, looks like you fell into a pretty easy trap, huh? Kakashi said, making Natsumi give him a death glare. Look underneath the underneath. With that, Kakashi left again, leaving a very angry Natsumi behind. Before anyone could attack again, the bell rang signaling the end of the test. And, a few minutes later, Natsumi was tied to one of the tree trunks, while Sasuke, Tatsuki, and Naruto sat there. Kakashi looked at the four of them seriously. Do you know the true purpose of this test? Kakashi asked. Teamwork, Naruto replied. Kakashi looked at Naruto in slight shock. If you knew, Naruto, why didn't you tell them? Kakashi asked. I only realized it at the last minute, and I didn't have time to tell them, he said. Kakashi nodded. Okay, I'll give you guys another chance after lunch. And remember, no one is allowed to feed Natsumi. Got it? Kakashi asked. Everyone just replied with a weak, hi. With that, Naruto, Tatsuki, and Sasuke ate quietly. Suddenly, they heard Natsumi's hungry stomach growl. Naruto looked at Natsumi, who was blushing in embarrassment. He just smiled and offered her his lunch bento. Eat. I don't care what sensei says, but you are my little brother, Naruto said. Natsumi looked at Naruto with a surprised look. But, Nisan. Before Natsumi could continue, Naruto interrupted her. I told you, it's okay. Sasuke and Tatsuki then also gave Natsumi her lunch. Eat, you'll be a problem later, Sasuke said. Natsumi-chan, eat mine, Tatsuki said. Natsumi looked at her teammates and her brother happily. She then nodded and took Naruto's bento. Naruto just smiled and fed her, making Natsumi blush, and Tatsuki gave her a jealous look. Sasuke just watched all of this with a raised eyebrow. Well, I didn't expect Tatsuki to fall for Namikaze Taicho's charm, Sasuke thought. He then shrugged his shoulders indifferently and went back to eating his lunch. However, their moment was then interrupted when a puff of smoke appeared in front of them, making them all alert, and then revealed a very angry Hatake Kakashi. All of you, he said, making their eyes widen in fear. But what they didn't expect was for Kakashi to immediately smile at the four of them. Pass, he said proudly. They all looked at Kakashi with shocked looks and couldn't believe it, before they then cheered happily. Sasuke smiled a little, Naruto smiled softly. Even though it was just acting, Tatsuki and Natsumi cheered happily. Starting tomorrow, we will be Team 7. There is one reason why I am passing you, and that is because you care about your teammate Natsumi. That is how teams are. We must care for each other and look out for each other. If you do not feed Natsumi, I, with great regret, will have to fail you, he explained, staring intently at Team 7. Team 7 also looked seriously at Kakashi. Kakashi then smiled. But, remember this. Those who break the rules are trash. But, those who abandon their friends are lower than trash. He said coolly, making everyone look at him in awe. All right, we'll come back here tomorrow, in the morning. And from now on, we are, officially, Team 7. Kakashi exclaimed cheerfully, and then left Team 7. Naruto, Tatsuki, and Sasuke followed Kakashi, leaving Natsumi tied to the log alone, and shouting protests at them all. The next day, hidden underground. Naruto seen in a very dark room. He now not wearing Quincy clothes. He now wears a white shahakusho, a white hakama, and then accompanied by a black and white trench coat. He also wears a purple obi around his waist. On either side of him were two people the same age. One had white eyes and long brown hair. He wore an indigo-colored jacket and brown pants. On the other side was another person the same age. He wore a blue turtleneck shirt with the Uchiha clan symbol on the back. He wore white shorts. They are Hyuga Neji and Uchiha Sasuke. The three of them were, in a way, in an underground lab. After some research, Naruto discovered that this lab belonged to the infamous Konoha missing nin, Orochimaru. And, for 2 years, they had used it as their headquarters. Naruto stared at the object in front of him in awe. Sasuke and Neji, standing beside him, also looked as amazed as Naruto. This thing is an experiment that Naruto did for 3 years. This object is the Hogyoku. After seeing Aizen Susuk's memories again, Naruto also desperately wanted the Hogyoku. So he asked Kyuka Suigetsu about the Hogyoku and how to create it. Kyuka Suigetsu, seeing everything Aizen saw, happily told Naruto everything she knew. And, after 3 years, Naruto was finally able to complete this. The Hogyoku. Naruto smiled in satisfaction. With this tool, he could become a god who would rule the world. Naruto thought again, does that mean he could also create an army from this? From Aizen's memories, Naruto saw that he could also grant others this power. Then Naruto thought again. So he could make people half-hollow? Naruto shook his head. No, he didn't want that power to be shared by anyone else. It was his own power. With that, an idea popped into Naruto's head. Aizen, killing Shinigami and taking their Riryoku to infuse into the Hogyoku. He then fed that Riryoku to hollows, allowing them to gain Shinigami powers, and giving them an army of half-hollows and half-Shinigami known as the Espada. And, with Naruto's mind clear, he had an idea. If he could feed the Hogyoku with Bijou Chakra, and then give that chakra to a human, they would become Pseudo-Jinchuriki. A very good idea according to Naruto. If the theory were true, by the time Naruto left Konoha, he would have an army of Pseudo-Jinchuriki. Jinchuriki, known to be extremely powerful tools used by entire nations, possess the power of a demon. A single Jinchuriki, if trained, could possess Kage-level power. Naruto could only think with joy that if this plan worked, he would have an army of Pseudo-Jinchuriki, all possessing Kage-level power. Just the thought of it made Naruto shudder, but also smile, as they would all bow down to him. Naruto then thought again, what if the process were reversed? Aizen did that too. He took the Hollow's Riryoku and gave it to the Shinigami, turning them into what Naruto saw wizards. Could Naruto reverse this? He'd given the Bijou regular chakra and mixed the Yokai Bijou with regular human chakra. What would happen? Would the Bijou, like the Arankar, become half-human, half-Bijou? The thought of it made Naruto a little unnerved. 9 Bijou would become his army. That seemed like a great thing. But before that, he had to introduce the Hogyoku to his 2 loyal retainers. Naruto took a small ball, only the size of his thumb, from an experiment box. He examined the Hogyoku for a moment, and then turned to face Sasuke and Neji. This, my friend, Naruto showed them the Hogyoku, is the Hogyoku. You feel it, right? The power of this orb. It's like it's pulling you, isn't it? Naruto said, earning 2 nods from Neji and Sasuke. This is the Hogyoku. Its power is to give someone what they desire most. He continued, making Sasuke and Neji's eyes widen. You want godlike power? The Hogyoku can give you that. You want the power of a Jinchuriki, without having to have a demon sealed inside your stomach? The Hogyoku can give you that. You want to bring your loved ones back to life? The Hogyoku can do that too. He explained, making Neji and Sasuke's eyes and mouths widen in shock and awe of the power. But it's not easy, my friend. That power is very great, and the only one who can use that power is someone who can make the Hogyoku submit to them. The Hogyoku has its own consciousness. If it feels you don't deserve what you want, it won't submit to you. However, the Hogyoku doesn't give that power directly to you. The Hogyoku will give you directions to get that power. He continued, making Sasuke and Neji amazed. Naruto smiled at them. But right now we have to feed the Hogyoku. It, like humans, also needs something to live. Even I, who created the Hogyoku, don't know how powerful it is, and right now we will feed it chakra. Naruto explained again. Sasuke then interrupted. Namake's Taicho, what are you going to do with that power? Sasuke asked curiously. Naruto smiled at Sasuke. Of course, Sasuke. I will make the Hogyoku submit to me, and make it acknowledge that I am its master, he said with a grin that made Sasuke cringe. And one more thing. The Hogyoku can also give other people power. I still don't know what happened, so I will do some experiments. And, if my estimate is correct, in 3 or 4 years the Hogyoku's power will be full. And at that time, the Hogyoku will know that I am its master. He continued. Namake's Taicho, Neji said. From here, I can feel the power of the Hogyoku. Neji continued. So, how do we hide it from Konoha? Neji asked. Naruto smiled at Neji. Ah, that's a very good question, Neji. I'm still thinking about that. For now, I'll hide the Hogyoku here, Naruto explained, earning a nod from Neji. For a few days, I'll be away from Konoha, to experiment with the Hogyoku, or perhaps to regain followers. Naruto announced to Sasuke and Neji. I'll leave everything to you two. If anything interesting happens, let me know through the scroll I designed especially for you. He continued. Namake's Taicho, Sasuke interrupted again. What about Team 7? Sasuke asked. Naruto smiled at Sasuke. Ah, Sasuke, did you think I didn't know that? They'll just see Kyuka Suigetsu's illusion, of course. Naruto explained. Sasuke nodded. Then, what if we get a mission outside the village to a place where people haven't been affected by Kyuka Suigetsu? He asked again. Naruto grinned. Sasuke, our team is a genin team that just graduated from the academy. The Hokage will not give us missions above D rank. And every D rank mission is only within Konoha. And the entire population of Konoha has been affected by Kyuka Suigetsu. Sasuke nodded. Naruto then looked back at the Hogyoku. Soon, Naruto thought, the world will bow under me, and finally, peace will be achieved. Naruto was now in the middle of the desert of Kaze no Kuni. However, unlike the sand in Sunagakure, the desert here had white sand. In fact, Naruto found this desert on the border of Kaze no Kuni and Yuki no Kuni, far from Sunagakure. Naruto gazed at the desert with satisfaction. He could make this his group's headquarters after he left Konoha, along with Neji and Sasuke. Naruto stared at the desert before him again. All he needed now was the building he was going to build and its design. He thought again. If he wasn't mistaken, Aizen Susuk's memories told him he had also built a base in Hueco Mundo, and Hueco Mundo was filled with white sand. Perhaps he would do the same again. What's it called? Las Knowers? No. Las Rotes? No. Las Noches? Ah yes, that's it. Okay, he'll name it Las Noches with the same design as Las Noches in Hueco Mundo. Maybe a little different depending on Naruto's mood. As for the building itself, he'd think about that later. He could just pay someone and have them killed, or maybe build it himself, but that would take a long time and he was a busy man. Never mind. He ignored the headquarters issue for now. He then took a small black marble from his pocket. Hogyoku. It was time to test the Hogyoku's power. First, he would test it on an animal. He had already imbued the Hogyoku with Riryoku. According to Kyuka Suigetsu, all plants possess at least some spiritual energy, or Riryoku, for photosynthesis. Therefore, Naruto tested it by absorbing the plant's Riryoku and feeding it to the Hogyoku. And sure enough, plants did possess Riryoku. And now he would try to give that Riryoku to an animal to test it. He performed Shuinpa several times, and now he had arrived at a forest with many animals. He looked around, determining which animals would be suitable for his experiments. He saw a tiger staring intently at him. It was trying to eat him. Naruto grinned. It seemed tigers were good experimental animals. The tiger leaped at him quickly. Naruto grinned again, easily dodging it, and then summoned his Hogyoku. He then thrust it into the tiger's stomach. giving it a connection to the tiger. He then felt that the Hogyoku was channeling Riryoku to the tiger, making the tiger roar in pain. After a few minutes, he saw more and more Riryoku, and he was thrown away from the tiger, who was now surrounded by energy that swirled around him, making his body invisible because of the energy. Naruto was thrown along with the Hogyoku, and then saw the tiger still surrounded by energy. Naruto narrowed his eyes, waiting to see what would happen. When he was finished, he saw something truly shocking. The tiger had grown enormously, and its claws had also grown longer. But what really shocked him was the mask that appeared to be made of bone covering the tiger's face. Naruto raised an eyebrow. Hollow? So, if he transferred Riryoku to an animal, it would turn into a hollow? Naruto smiled, interesting. He then tried to sense the tiger's Ryatsu. His eyes widened. The tiger had almost the same Ryatsu as him. He then realized it. He had accidentally given the tiger all the Riryoku in the Hogyoku. His eyes widened as he saw the tiger disappear from his sight, and he sensed someone behind him. Reflexively, he jumped forward, avoiding the tiger that was behind him. He narrowed his eyes, and then took out Kyuka Suigetsu from his sheath. Sonito? I didn't think he could do Sonito too, Naruto thought. With Sonito, the tiger was immediately in front of Naruto and swung its claws at Naruto. Naruto easily blocked it with Kyuka Suigetsu. The tiger's other free hand then swung at Naruto's head, making Naruto jump back. The tiger then roared, and again shot towards Naruto, from its claws, now growing a Ryatsu which he formed into a long claw, making it look like a sword. The tiger then immediately shot towards Naruto, and swung its long claws filled with a huge amount of Riryoku. Naruto managed to backflip backwards just in time. His eyes widened as he saw the ground where the tiger had swung its claws split open. What a powerful force! I never thought the Hogyoku could give me such power, Naruto thought. Naruto then stretched his index finger towards the tiger. Hado number 4. Byakurai. Way of Destruction number 4. White Lightning. From Naruto's index finger, a white-blue electric current shot out towards the tiger. The tiger easily dodged it, and was now still running towards Naruto, and swung its claws at Naruto, which Naruto easily blocked with Kyuka Suigetsu. Its other claw then came, and Naruto easily blocked it with Kyuka Suigetsu as well. He then disappeared with Shuinpa, reappearing behind the tiger, and swung his sword at its back. The tiger couldn't dodge in time, and now had a scratch on its back. The tiger then leaped forward, twisting its body backward to face Naruto. Naruto stared at the tiger, still expressionless. "Can you hear me, Hollow?" he asked. The tiger just roared angrily at Naruto. Very well. Naruto wanted to attack the tiger again, but he saw the tiger roar in pain, and then it seemed to suck a lot of Riryoku from the plants around it, making Naruto's eyes widen. And once again, an energy like Ryatsu, which made it a little difficult for Naruto to breathe, surrounded the tiger. The energy surrounded the tiger for a few minutes, and finally subsided. The smoke made it difficult for Naruto to see the tiger's figure. However, when the smoke cleared, his eyes widened. Now, what he saw was not the tiger he had thought. It was a humanoid figure the height of an adult. It still had the tiger's figure, with its long fangs and cat's whiskers. But what had changed again was that its skin was completely white. The nails on both of its hands looked very long and sharp, like claws. Is this a Vasto Lord? No way. This isn't a Vasto Lord. Ajuchas. Yes, he's still at the Ajuchas level. I have to kill him soon, otherwise he'll be a nuisance, Naruto thought. Naruto's eyes then widened when he didn't see the tiger where he was. Before he could react, he was thrown forward and hit a tree. Ugh, he groaned. He then saw the tiger in front of him, swinging its claws. Reflexively, he blocked the claws with Kyuka Suigetsu. He then kicked the tiger hard in the stomach, sending it flying. He planted Kyuka Suigetsu on the ground, and his hands made several hand seals: Katan, Goryuka no Jutsu, Fire Style, Great Dragon. Naruto then breathed fire that formed a dragon from his mouth. The tiger seemed to have no problem with the dragon and simply ran towards it. Naruto's eyes widened when the humanoid tiger slammed into the fire dragon like nothing had happened and was directly in front of him, swinging its claws. Naruto still managed a backflip while picking up Kyuka Suigetsu from the ground. While still in the air, Naruto stretched his index finger towards the hollow. Raime no Basha? Itaguruma no Kangeki? Hikari mo Kore Omutsu and Iwakatsu. Bakudo number 61. Rikujukuru. Carriage of thunder. Bridge of a spinning wheel. With light, divide this into 6. Way of binding number 61. 6 rods prison of light. With that, the tiger was trapped by 6 yellow light beams. Naruto then landed on the ground, and then gasped for breath. He did not expect this to happen. He thought the tiger would turn into a monster if given the Hogyoku, but he did not expect the tiger to suddenly become a hollow and then turn into an Ajuchas in an instant. The tiger seemed to be struggling to get out of Naruto's Rikujukuru. Naruto took advantage of the moment to activate his Shirkai. He then held Kyuka Suigetsu tightly. Kadakuro, Kyuka Suigetsu. Shatter, Mirror Flower, Water Moon. With that, a cloud of smoke erupted from Naruto's sword, blocking the humanoid hollow's vision. The tiger finally released itself from Rikujukuru and looked around in confusion. The tiger then saw Naruto's reflection and immediately charged towards it, swinging its claws. However, when its claws made contact with Naruto, Naruto suddenly vanished, as if blown away by the wind. The real Naruto then appeared behind the hollow, and the hollow suddenly had a deep wound in its stomach. The hollow groaned in pain, and then turned its body to face Naruto. The hollow then opened its mouth wide. Naruto's eyes widened as red Ryoryoku gathered in the hollow's mouth and formed a ball. Naruto's eyes widened. "Zero?" he thought in disbelief. But then the hollow aimed the ball at Naruto, and from its mouth a red laser beam shot towards Naruto at high speed. Naruto, still in shock, couldn't dodge in time, and was hit by the tiger's Zero. Naruto, who appeared to be covered in wounds, immediately appeared behind the hollow, attempting to cut off its head, but the hollow dodged just in time, and then swung its claws at Naruto. The claws struck Naruto, creating a deep wound from his chest to his stomach. Not satisfied, the hollow immediately rushed towards Naruto, and then clawed all over Naruto's body, before cutting off his head with its claws, leaving Naruto dead. The hollow then calmed down and stood up. However, suddenly its head was cut off, and the hollow's head separated from its body and fell down. Kadakuro, Kyuka Suigetsu. Shatter, Mirror Flower, Water Moon. And then, Naruto's corpse broke apart, revealing a headless deer and a mangled body. Behind the hollow's corpse, Naruto was seen bleeding in several parts of his body and had many scratches. Burns were also visible on his left arm, up to his shoulder from trying to avoid the hollow's Zero. His shirt from his sleeve to his left chest was also torn, revealing Naruto's burns. Naruto sighed. Luckily that Hollow has seen Kyuka Suigetsu's Shirkai, he thought. This is my first experience fighting a Hollow. I guess I'm still not strong enough to fight a Hollow at the level of an Ajuchas, or is that a Vasto Lord? I never thought the Hogyoku could give me such power. I can't wait for the time when the Hogyoku will be mine. He thought again. For now, I have to train more. Aizen didn't even break a sweat when fighting an Ajuchas or a Vasto Lord. In 4 years, I have to be at Aizen's level. He continued. He then stood up and unsealed the Hogyoku from the seal he had made on his wrist. I have to be careful when experimenting with the Hogyoku. I was too careless this time. No matter, next time, I'll be more careful. With that, Naruto disappeared with Shuinpa, trying to heal his wounds. Naruto is now on the border between Kaze no Kuni and Hai no Kuni, or the Land of Fire, which is near Konoha. He wants to experiment with the Hogyoku again, but he feels a sensation from the scroll in his pocket. The scroll was what Naruto called a message scroll. It was created using Fuinjutsu, so when Naruto wrote something on it, the text on it would also appear on the other scroll he gave him. Naruto then took the scroll and opened it. Ah, a message from Sasuke. From Sasuke. Namikaze Taicho, sorry to interrupt your time. However, Team 7 has been given a C-rank mission to leave Konoha tomorrow. Naruto raised an eyebrow. Then he realized something. He'd been gone from Konoha for a week. He'd only just realized that. He'd had a great time outside of Konoha. Alas, he had to go back again. He then looked at all his ruined clothes. He then ripped them off and threw them away. He didn't feel comfortable wearing torn clothes. With that, he then disappeared into Shuinpa. Time to return to Konoha and reunite with his family. A few hours later, Naruto hideout. Naruto appeared in Orochimaru's former lab, which he now used as his headquarters. He calmly walked past the security seal he had placed at the entrance to his headquarters. The seal was designed to only allow those authorized by Naruto to enter. If anyone who wasn't authorized tried to pass through, they would only see a simple genjutsu indicating nothing was inside. Naruto walked down a hallway and arrived at a room. He entered it and placed the Hogyoku in a transparent box. He then drew calligraphy around it. And then his hands made a hand seal and slammed his hands onto the calligraphy. "Fuin! Seal!" he exclaimed. The collection of kanji and calligraphy glowed for a moment, before dying down again. Naruto had just activated the security seal he had placed on the Hogyoku. He took one last look at the Hogyoku and smiled in satisfaction. He then performed another hand seal and slammed his hand down. From his hand, calligraphy spread out, and then a loud poof. And then, before Naruto stood a clone of Naruto, whom Naruto had assigned to replace him while in Konoha. He immediately dispelled it, gaining all of his clone's memories. He then smiled in satisfaction. A mission to Nami no Kuni to escort the bridge builders? Interesting. If he was right, Natsumi would be screaming her head off right now because she was leaving Konoha. He then remembered again, Nami no Kuni. He felt like he had heard that name somewhere. His eyes then widened as he realized something. It was the man's hometown, the man Naruto desperately wanted to forget, as it would only bring him sorrow. Daisuke Asetsu, the man he had considered like a father, the only one who cared about him. Sadness then washed over him, before he wiped it away with an expressionless face. Sadness would only weaken him, but if this was the hometown of the man he considered a father, then anger was evident on Naruto's face. Gato, the man who had caused his father to suffer. His angry expression was then replaced by a grin. Today he would repay Daisuke's kindness by killing Gato. He then left the room and went to another room where one of his unfinished experiments was there. He walked into the room and saw a figure sleeping in a watery tube. It was Naruto's experiment, and that experiment would become the world's greatest spy. Naruto wanted a spy who could spy on the entire village, or even the entire world, to keep him informed. And, with a stroke of genius, he devised this experiment. Spies always go unnoticed because they suppress their chakra so little that Jounian can't detect them. Spies also have to be invisible. Because of these two aspects, Naruto created this experiment. This experiment has no chakra, meaning it cannot be detected by anyone, not even the Kage. Naruto also gave it a Byakugan-like eye, which he recreated from an eye he took from a Hyuga who died on a mission. Even though Naruto is 13, he's a genius. Perhaps even more so than Orochimaru when it comes to experiments, thanks to his experimental brain. He'd already studied science, mathematics, physics, and everything else by the time he was 7, and now he's a master of those subjects at the age of 12. So, he could have replicated the Byakugan eye. He added a feature for his experiment. The feature is, this Byakugan eye can see through any object, even objects that have been sealed to prevent the eyes from being seen by Kekkai Genkai. He also added a feature, if his experiment activates the Byakugan, chakra will not be detected. When the Hyuga activates the Byakugan, the chakra sensor can detect the chakra spike coming from their eyes. And then, Naruto's experiment had no chakra to detect at all. So, how was it alive? Simple. Naruto gave it Riryoku. Naruto didn't give it Shinigami Riryoku, because he didn't want his experiment to have the same powers as him, or Hollow Riryoku. He gave it Plant Riryoku, making its features look like a plant. And even more amazing, this experiment could go underground, and see and hear everything in the ground. Unfortunately, this experiment wasn't over yet. Naruto still needed one final touch. That final touch was the Hogyoku. By giving Naruto's experiment a bit of the Hogyoku's power, it would develop a brain and recognize him as its master. Naruto did this because he didn't want his own creation to betray him. Naruto smiled with satisfaction. Perhaps tomorrow he would give this experiment the Hogyoku, and then take it on a mission to Nami no Kuni to help him find Gato's location. He smiled at the idea. Yes, he would put the finishing touches on it tomorrow and take his experiment to Nami no Kuni. Who knows, maybe his creation would be even more amazing than he had anticipated. Yes, after that, maybe he will introduce his creation to Sasuke and Neji. Before that, Naruto had to name it first. A name that suited his experiment. Jin. Yes, it's a fitting name for her. Jin, which means silver, is quite fitting considering her experimental silver hair. Naruto grinned. Yes, Jin. Tomorrow, Jin would accompany him and Sasuke to Nami no Kuni. With that, he left his lab and performed Shunpa into his house. Namikaze's mansion. Naruto arrived home. It was already midnight. He was sure no one was awake. He easily deactivated the seal his father had placed on the Namikaze mansion gate to indicate whether anyone was inside or not. He then entered the gate and walked leisurely to the door of his house. He took out the duplicate key he had made, opened the door and then closed it. He climbed the stairs and then opened the door. Inside, he found something that made him raise an eyebrow. Natsumi was sleeping in her bed. Had she gone to the wrong room? He thought. He then shook his head. It can't be. He then realized something. His clone, when he was dispelled, felt something on his chest. He then realized it was Natsumi. He shrugged his shoulders indifferently, and then just went straight into his bed, and then slept beside Natsumi. The next day, Natsumi woke up feeling incredibly comfortable. She tried to move her body, but something stopped her. Her eyes looked to the side, then widened, and she blushed hard. Beside her, her older sister, whom she adored so much, slept with her arms around her. Then, Natsumi realized something. She quietly entered her sister's room and slept beside her. The thought made Natsumi blush again. She looked at her brother's sleeping face. He looked so exhausted. His sleeping face was so innocent. Natsumi smiled. She loved him more than anything. She couldn't bear to live if he died. Seeing her brother's lips made Natsumi want to taste them. She then dismissed the thought. She wasn't an arrow. Yes, she loved her brother more than a younger sibling could love an older sibling. She knew it was wrong. For years she'd been thinking that way, and then, she simply accepted her feelings. Plus, she was now 13, and her hormones were starting to kick in. She looked at her brother again. Although he seemed nice to everyone, he didn't seem to have any feelings for anyone. That made Natsumi think again. Was her brother gay? She face-bombed and shook her head. No way. Her brother's hormones just hadn't reacted yet. Natsumi sighed again. She didn't know what to do with her feelings for her brother. Perhaps she would discuss it with her Ka-san. She then looked back at her sister's soft, innocent lips. They were begging for a kiss. Natsumi tried everything she could to resist, before finally giving in. After all, she had never been kissed before, and if she was going to do this, it would be her first kiss. He then shrugged. After all, he loved his sister. Was it okay for him to make her his first kiss? She then leaned her head forward. She could feel her sleeping brother's breath on her face, making Natsumi want to kiss him even more. She leaned her head forward again and parted her lips slightly. And then Natsumi's lips touched Naruto's. He smiled inadvertently and then continued to press his lips against hers, occasionally licking his lips with his tongue. He was fine with his sister not returning the kiss. He then broke the kiss and smiled at her. 2 blushes were visible on both of his cheeks. She smiled. Just let it be. She loved her brother, and other people's opinions didn't matter to her. At that very moment, Naruto's eyes snapped open. Natsumi panicked slightly. What if Naruto sensed her kiss, felt embarrassed, and hated her? Even though she knew Naruto was a very kind person, one who couldn't bear to hurt a fly, she still had that thought. Naruto's eyes opened, revealing his sky-blue eyes fixed on Natsumi. Natsumi looked slightly panicked. Naruto commudi intersenium sedicit. Ohayou, Imuto-chan. Sappa Naruto. Hearing Naruto's gentle voice and smile made Natsumi blush, then smile happily. Ohayou, Ni-chan. She greeted back with a smile. Naruto raised an eyebrow at the new nickname. Usually, Natsumi always called him Aniki or Nisan. And now, Ni-chan? Naruto shrugged indifferently. Naruto then got up from his bed and then rubbed his eyes while yawning. How did you sleep, Amuto-chan? He asked. Natsumi then thought back to the kiss she had given her brother, and blushed hard, despite trying desperately to hide it. Okay, Ni-chan, she replied. Naruto tilted his head to the side, confused by Natsumi's way of speaking. Natsumi, seeing this in her mind, let out a cute cry. Naruto then shrugged and got out of his king-size bed. He was seen only in his nightgown, which was slightly transparent, revealing Natsumi's chest, which made Natsumi blush. Naruto then stretched his arms to relax his body while yawning. He then wiped the tears that came out because he yawned with his hands. He then looked back at Natsumi. Well, Amuto-chan, today we have a mission, and according to Kakashi-sensei, we have to be at the gate at 9. We have to get ready. With that, Naruto entered the bathroom in his room with some clothes that he took from his closet. After Naruto entered the bathroom, Natsumi pouted. Yesterday, she had been so excited about getting a C-rank mission and wanted to leave quickly. But now, she preferred spending time with her brother, especially if she could taste his sweet lips. The thought made Natsumi blush again, and then she shook her head. She had to clear her arrow thoughts. It was time to take a shower and then go on his first C-rank mission. Konoha, hidden underground. Naruto was walking through the laboratory that also served as his headquarters. Beside him was Uchiha Sasuke, his face stoic as usual. Naruto then entered the room, followed by Sasuke. Naruto then motioned for Sasuke to follow him. Entering the room, they were met only by darkness and several experimental tubes. They continued walking, and stopped right in front of a tube containing a white creature with silver eyes and silver hair. The creature was wearing no clothes. Sasuke looked interested in what the creature was. "Namikaze Taicho, what is that?" he asked. Naruto smiled at Sasuke. "This, Sasuke, is Jin," Naruto introduced. "My greatest creation, after the Hogyoku, of course," he continued. Sasuke immediately became interested again hearing this. "And what can Jin do?" he asked again. Naruto smiled again. This time he grinned. "Ah, good question, Sasuke. This is my greatest creation. He was made to be the greatest spy in the world," he explained, making Sasuke amazed. "He has been infected by the DNA of the Shodame Hokage, Senju Hashirama, who is famous for his Kekii Genkai Mokutan," he explained again. "Because of that, he can hide by merging his body with plants. He also doesn't have chakra, so no matter how powerful the sensor is, it can't detect him. Except sensors that use vibrations, but sensors like that are very rare," he said, making Sasuke look at Jin in awe. "Does Niji know this?" Sasuke asked. Naruto shook his head. "Ah, unfortunately, I haven't had the chance to pay him the honorarium to see Jin," Naruto replied. "With the final touch, the Hogyoku, I will perfect Jin. With the Hogyoku, he will gain the ability to transform himself into anything, and can change his chakra signature to imitate others. He is also designed to be able to imitate other people's traits perfectly. A great spy, isn't he?" Naruto said, sounding satisfied. Sasuke nodded in admiration. Naruto then stepped forward and pressed a button. With that, the water inside the tube was immediately sucked out, and then the tube opened, revealing Jin kneeling before Naruto. Naruto smiled. He then took the Hogyoku, and then, with a single hand seal, the Hogyoku glowed slightly. Naruto then slammed the Hogyoku into Jin's stomach, making Jin scream in pain. He then pulled the Hogyoku back, and saw Jin scream in pain, and a white light blocked it. Naruto and Sasuke stepped back. Naruto raised his hand, signaling Sasuke to get ready to fight. Sasuke took his kunai and then got into a fighting stance. Naruto was grateful that he had sealed the room to prevent the Hogyoku's energy from escaping. Otherwise, he would have known for sure that the Anbu and the Hokage were also on their way. It wasn't time for him to show his true self to Konoha yet. The light dimmed, revealing a white creature with spiky silver hair, who was wearing nothing. It had black scleral pupils and silver pupils. Jin was seen smiling at Naruto, showing his teeth. It looked like a humorous smile. "Naruto-sama," he exclaimed. Sasuke then lowered his kunai upon seeing that. Naruto stepped forward. Because of the Hogyoku, he had already given Jin a personality. He had first clarified in Jin's mind that he was loyal only to him. He had also given Jin's mind information about everything he knew about the ninja world. "Ah, Jin, welcome. Should I give you a mission right away? Or would you like to rest?" Naruto asked with a polite smile. Jin smiled broadly and shook his head. "No need, Naruto-sama. I'm ready to do anything," Jin replied. Naruto smiled. He then addressed Sasuke. "Ah, let me introduce myself, Jin. This is Uchiha Sasuke, one of my subordinates. Treat him with the same respect as I do," Naruto introduced. Sasuke just nodded at Jin, while Jin gave Sasuke a big smile. "Nice to meet you, Sasuke-sama," Jin exclaimed. Naruto smiled at this. "I still have one more subordinate, but unfortunately he's currently on a mission with his team. I hope you're not too disappointed. Alright, your first assignment is to investigate Nami no Kuni, Naruto ordered. Jin smiled. Okay, Naruto-sama. With that, Jin immediately seemed to sink into the ground. Naruto smiled at that. Naruto then turned around, walking past Sasuke. You can also use Jin to gather information, Sasuke. But remember, he is only loyal to me. With that, Naruto walked away, Sasuke behind him. Konoha front gate. Naruto and Sasuke arrived at the Konoha gates. They found Natsumi and Tatsuki already waiting there, along with a client Naruto knew to be Tazuna. Naruto observed Tazuna. He could tell from his movements that Tazuna was extremely nervous and afraid. Naruto raised an eyebrow. Why was Tazuna so nervous? C-rank missions usually involved fighting bandits, and he should have known that bandits were no match for ninja. Unless there was a secret he was hiding. Naruto grinned. He was just playing along. After all, this was a test of his experience. Everyone he'd fought was just one Chunin, Sasuke and Neji, and then a hollow. Natsumi-chan, Tatsuki-san, Sappa Naruto Sambil Tercinium Pada Natsumi, Dan Tatsuki. Natsumi and Tatsuki looked blushing, although Natsumi's blush looked redder than usual. Ni-chan, Natsumi exclaimed happily, earning a suspicious look from Tatsuki, who sensed something behind the call. Ah, Natsumi-chan. I told you that if we're on a mission, we're partners, be professional. Naruto advised Natsumi, earning a sigh from Natsumi. Okay, Naruto-kun, Natsumi replied in a defeated tone. Naruto smiled. He then turned his attention to Tatsuki. Good morning, Tatsuki-san. How was your morning? Naruto asked politely. Tatsuki looked blushing. As usual, Naruto-kun. How was your morning? Tatsuki asked back. Naruto rubbed his chin. Somehow I can feel a strawberry taste in my mouth this morning, even though I only had milk and bread for breakfast. Naruto replied. Tatsuki saw Natsumi blushing furiously out of the corner of her eye. Tatsuki narrowed her eyes suspiciously. Oh, something was going on here. That's quite strange. Didn't you feel lips touching you? Tatsuki asked, giving Natsumi a suspicious look. And Natsumi immediately started coughing and blushing, while giving Tatsuki a glare. Naruto immediately made a thinking pose. Well, I guess not. Maybe it was just my imagination. Thank you for your concern, Tatsuki-san. I really appreciate it, Naruto said. Tatsuki nodded while blushing. Tazuna watched the three interact with a strange look. He then shrugged his shoulders indifferently. A few minutes later, a popping sound was heard along with a puff of smoke, and when the smoke cleared, Kakashi was there smiling at Naruto, Sasuke, Tatsuki and Natsumi, and giving a respectful nod to Tazuna. Sorry I'm late. There's an old lady who needs my help carrying her groceries to her house behind the Hokage monument, Kakashi said with an eye smile at them, while his hand scratched his neck. Even though all of Team Kakashi knew that Kakashi was lying, Tazuna didn't know and just gave Kakashi a nod. With that, Kakashi clapped his hands to get attention. All right, our mission this time is to escort our client, Tazuna to Nami no Kuni until the bridge he built is finished. I want the diamond formation. Naruto in the back, Sasuke in the front, Natsumi on the left, and Tatsuki on the right. I will watch from behind with Naruto, Kakashi explained, this time serious like a jounin. Team 7 answered him with several hi. A while later, it had been several hours since Team 7 left Konoha. Everything was normal, and the 6 of them walked in comfortable silence, although Natsumi had asked a few times about Nami no Kuni. Naruto also looked around warily, although there were no bandits at the moment. Sasuke looked thoughtful as usual. Natsumi sometimes gave him looks and blushed, and Tatsuki looked bored, although sometimes gave Natsumi glares. They passed a puddle. Naruto raised an eyebrow at the sight. As far as he knew, it hadn't rained in Konoha for several days, and it rarely rained, as Konoha was located in the Land of Fire. He then tried to sense something in the puddle, and smirked when he sensed a genjutsu. He would let the enemy know it was a genjutsu. He would play along with the enemy's game. When he felt his genjutsu had been deactivated, he quickly took out Kyuka Suigetsu from its sheath, and turned around, just in time to see Kakashi's body being cut into pieces by the chains used by the two enemies. He heard Natsumi and Tatsuki scream, and had to hold his breath to keep from making a comment that would reveal his annoyance. Well, they were ninjas, they shouldn't scream when they saw their comrades being killed. Naruto immediately got ready when he saw his two enemies darting towards him while saying, "One's down, only 4 more to go," he said. Naruto then glanced at Sasuke and gave him a nod. When the metal claw that he knew was poisoned came towards him, he easily blocked it with Kyuka Suigetsu and then jumped and spun his body, making a reverse roundhouse kick to his opponent's temple. He saw his enemy being thrown, and his partner shouted Meizu, and because of the chain that connected them, Geizu too was pulled. Naruto gave Sasuke a look. Sasuke nodded. Sasuke then made a hand seal, Katon, Gukakyu no Jutsu. Sasuke then threw a large fireball from his mouth towards Meizu and Geizu. Meizu and Geizu saw this, and on instinct, they immediately made a hand seal, Suetun, Mizurappa. With that, Geizu and Meizu released a water ball from their mouths, and it hit Sasuke's fireball, extinguishing it. Seeing this, Naruto immediately took out his Quincy cross and made an arrow by gathering Rapier. "Heh, I'll get back at you, little one." With that, the demon brothers shot towards them again. Naruto then threw an arrow. The arrow flew between Meizu and Geizu. Meizu and Geizu just stared at the arrow in confusion and thought that the kid's accuracy was weak, but their eyes widened when the blue arrow split into 2, making 3 arrows towards them. They wanted to dodge, but it was too late, and the arrows pierced their stomachs, and the arrows in the middle pierced their chains. Naruto, seeing this, immediately gestured for Sasuke to help him, and he and Sasuke tied the still weak demon brothers to a tree. They then heard a clapping sound behind them, and saw Kakashi clapping his hands while smiling at them. Naruto knew that Kakashi wore kawarimi, so he wasn't too surprised. "Kakashi-sensei, how could that be?" Natsumi exclaimed. Tatsuki nodded, before looking over at Kakashi's body, only to see pieces of wood, making her slap her forehead. Kakashi smiled at Natsumi. "Well, I'm wearing kawarimi," Kakashi explained, pointing to the corpse. "Looks like your brother saved the day, Natsumi-chan." Natsumi, Tatsuki, next time don't shout. Naruto, Sasuke, good job. And Tazuna, there are some things we need to talk about. A while later, Naruto and his team are now on a ship heading to Nami no Kuni. Tazuna has already admitted that this mission is supposed to be A rank, and he can't afford it. Gato, the man currently on his must-kill list, has been terrorizing Nami no Kuni for years. They kidnap women and impoverish their country. They are impoverished because Nami no Kuni is an island surrounded by sea. The only way to cross it is by boat from the Gato company, which is very expensive. Because of this, Nami no Kuni rarely received crumbs or other material resources from other countries. And even if someone used the ship, the money would go directly to Gato, not to Nami no Kuni. Therefore, Tazuna created a bridge that connected Nami no Kuni with Mizu no Kuni, so that they could be free from Gato and could travel safely and gain alliances from other countries and get food supplies without Ganto intervening. Unfortunately, Gato didn't want this to happen and sent someone to kill Tazuna. Tazuna was lucky enough to make it to Konoha safely. Tazuna had to beg them to continue the mission. Naruto, of course, continued not because he wanted to help Tazuna, but because he had always wanted to kill Gato. Besides, if he was admired by a nation for saving them, that could be a good thing for Naruto. Sasuke naturally agreed, as his superior did, and he had always wanted to test his abilities on someone other than Neji. Even though Naruto had trained them for years, they didn't have the necessary experience. Natsumi of course agreed because she was still very naive and had the soul of a hero and wanted to help Tazuna. Tatsuki only agreed because everyone else agreed. And that's what led them here. Fog was everywhere, and their ship was moving slowly because they didn't want to be seen by Gato's men. "So, that's the bridge you built, Tazuna-san, I assume?" Naruto asked softly as he looked at the massive structure. He had to admit, Tazuna did a great job. His team was also looking at the unfinished bridge with awe. Tazuna nodded. His eyes shone with pride. "Yep, even though it's not finished, it looks great. Doesn't it? This is my greatest creation," Tazuna said proudly. Naruto nodded. "I must admit, this is indeed a truly amazing bridge, Tazuna-san. I can't say anything more than a compliment," Naruto said. Tazuna nodded proudly. "Neji-san, how did you manage to build a bridge like this?" Natsumi asked curiously. It wasn't me who built it, but the entire population of Nami no Kuni. But lately the number of laborers building the bridge has been decreasing due to Gato's warning, Tazuna said sadly. Nami no Kuni has always been a nation of builders. They produce good architects, and all its residents are also laborers. Kirigakure, the ninja village in Mizu no Kuni, was built with the help of Nami no Kuni, Tazuna explained proudly. Naruto then looked at Nami no Kuni in awe. It was no secret that Nami no Kuni was one of the most beautiful ninja villages. Their buildings looked more modern and artistic. Even their sewers weren't as dirty and clean as Konoha's. Naruto then thought maybe he should gain the trust of all the countries, and then ask them to build Las Noches for him. Although Kaze no Kuni seemed good, Naruto still had other candidates for Las Noches headquarters. Without realizing it, they had arrived, and were now off the ship, and walking through the mist towards Tazuna's house. Unbeknownst to them, there were 4 eyes observing them from the shadows, although Naruto knew them because he had recently developed sensory abilities. Sharingan no Kakashi. No wonder Geizu and Meizu lost. The other 4 kids are no problem, thought the man who then disappeared in Shunshin. Out of the corner of Naruto's eye, he saw the person watching them disappear in a Shunshin. Naruto had to suppress a grin, as he sensed the person possessed Jounin-level chakra, and this was his first time fighting a Jounin. And then he remembered. He couldn't use his 90% in front of Kakashi, Natsumi, and Tatsuki. He sighed. Sometimes he just wanted to leave Konoha. He was forced to observe the man's fight against Kakashi and take note of both of their skills, for reference if they were both enemies in the future. He sensed a noise in the bushes nearby. He sensed chakra. From the chakra, it was clear that the person was a Haichunin. Before he could do anything, Natsumi threw a kunai at him, drawing the attention of the entire team and Tazuna. Natsumi, what are you doing? Tatsuki asked in confusion. Natsumi pointed towards the bushes. I feel something there, Natsumi exclaimed. Kakashi then walked into the bushes to investigate. Sasuke looked at Naruto, asking for orders. Naruto nodded, signaling Sasuke to get ready to fight. When Kakashi opened the bushes, it revealed a snow-white rabbit. Natsumi, you almost killed that cute bunny, Tatsuki exclaimed angrily, pointing at the bunny. Natsumi looked shocked. Hey, I didn't know, she replied. Sasuke looked at Naruto again, deciding whether he should stay ready to fight. Naruto nodded, signaling him to stay on guard. Naruto looked at the rabbit curiously. A snow rabbit, but it's summer. Snow rabbits change their fur color based on the brightness of the sunlight. If the color of the fur is white, it means it's winter, but this is summer. That means this rabbit is caged and used for the purpose of being a kawarimi object. That means the enemy is already around here, Naruto thought. Without him realizing, Kakashi was thinking the same thing as him. Out of the corner of his eye, he saw something move. He also saw Kakashi look shocked. Everyone, get down, Kakashi shouted. Team 7 and Tazuna then ducked. A sword passed through their bodies. It was embedded horizontally in a tree. At the hilt stood a figure with its back to Team 7. Well, who else but the missing Nin from Kirigakure, one of the 7 swordsmen of the mist, wielder of the Kubikirabocho sword, Momochi Zabuzakuin, Kakashi said casually, while looking at the figure known as Zabuza with a serious look. Everyone step back. This person is on a different level than you, he continued. Kakashi then prepared to lift his Hitai 8 that covered his left eye. This will be a little difficult. Looks like I have to wear this. For the first time, the figure turned his head back to look at Team 7. It seems you are Sharingan no Kakashi. No wonder the demon brothers failed. Sorry, but the old man is mine, Zabuza said with a tone full of confidence that he would win against Kakashi. Kakashi then raised his Hitaiaten, which covered his left eye. Protect Tazuna. Don't enter this match. And Zabuza, fight me. With that, Kakashi opened his Hitaiaten, pointing at a Sharingan which had 3 tomo in its eye. Team 7 was paying close attention to their conversation. They already knew that Kakashi possessed the Sharingan beneath his Hitai-8. Zabuza Momochi, Naruto thought, A-class missing Nin. Criminal record. Accused of failed assassination of the Mizukage. Former member of the 7 swordsmen of the Mist group that disbanded because they all disliked the leadership of the Yonde Mizukage, who gave the order to slaughter all those who possessed Kekkei Genkai. Ninjutsu, A. Taijutsu, B. Genjutsu, D. Kenjutsu S. Naruto thought, remembering Zabuza's profile he read in the bingo book. Sharingan. Zabuza grinned. One of the 3 strongest jujutsu in the world. The power of that eye is so great, you can even copy someone's jutsu just by looking at them, Zabuza said. When I was still a member of the Kirigakure assassination team, I had a book which had all the information about you. And this is what the book said. The person who copied more than 1,000 jutsu, copy ninja Kakashi. Meanwhile, Sasuke secretly glares at Kakashi, because according to him, no one deserves to have the Sharingan except an Uchiha. Alright, that's it. I have to kill that old man. Team 7 immediately went on guard and surrounded Tazuna from all sides. But, Kakashi, it looks like I'll have to get past you first. With that, Zabuza shot off at a speed that only Kakashi, Naruto, and Sasuke could see, towards the middle of the lake near them. Zabuza made a hand seal, Ninpu, Kirigakure no Jutsu, ninja art, hidden mist technique. With that, the mist grew thicker around Team 7 and Tazuna, and Zabuza had disappeared. Momochi Zabuza, Kakashi muttered. As a member of Kirigakure, he is known to be an expert in assassinations and silent killing. He will go for me first, Kakashi said, earning a scared look from Team 7, though Naruto was only acting. You won't know until you die. Team, be careful, Kakashi warned, earning a nervous nod from Team 7. The fog is getting thicker, Natsumi exclaimed fearfully as she looked around. 8 choices. Zabuza's voice seemed to buzz from all directions. Liver, lungs, spine, clavicle vein, neck, brain, and kidneys. Which should I stab first? He repeated. With that, Zabuza unleashed a massive killing intent upon Team 7. Natsumi and Tatsuki immediately froze in fear, while Naruto and Sasuke were unaffected. Aizen. Namikaze Taicho's killing intent is greater than this, Sasuke thought, remembering the brutal training he went through with his boss, making Sasuke tremble with fear. Is this all the killing intent a Jounin can unleash? Pathetic. I could have knocked out Zabuza with just 1/4 of my Reiatsu, Naruto thought. Naruto then saw Tatsuki and Natsumi shaking in fear. Naruto then held Natsumi's shoulders to calm her down. Natsumi-chan, Tatsuki-san, don't be afraid. I will protect you, even if it means sacrificing my life, Naruto said to Natsumi and Tatsuki in a gentle voice with a smile. Suddenly, Natsumi and Tatsuki stopped shaking and smiled back at Naruto. They felt calmer. From the front, Kakashi smiled at the 4 of them. Don't worry, Naruto, Natsumi, Tatsuki. I will protect you, even if he kills me. He then smiled at Team 7. Because I won't let my team die, he said again. They then heard a laugh. We'll see, Zabuza's voice said, and then Zabuza appeared in the middle of Team 7. Naruto already knew Zabuza was behind him. Reflexively, he jumped while his team also dodged. Kakashi then immediately shot towards Zabuza and gave him a punch in the stomach. Naruto took advantage of this situation. Naruto then looked at Sasuke and nodded. Sasuke nodded back. Before the mission, Naruto had already told Sasuke his plan. At the right moment, he would switch places with a Chi Bunshin or blood clone. Similar to a Kage Bunshin, the Chi Bunshin can absorb the opponent's blows and is not dispelled unless the Chi Bunshin is stabbed in a vital area. The Chi Bunshin will also receive 20% of the original Naruto's power. Naruto did this because he would have his own agenda in Nami no Kuni. With that, Naruto bit his finger, then drew blood. Naruto performed a hand seal, then slammed his hand to the ground. No one noticed this except Sasuke because they were too focused on Kakashi and Zabuza's fight. Naruto took advantage of the moment. A few minutes later, a perfect replica of Naruto appeared. Perfect with his hair, his charming smile, and his white tunic. Without another word, Naruto disappeared into Shuinpa. After all, he sensed the Chunin's chakra. Perhaps he would play with him to test his abilities. Naruto reappeared behind the Hunter Nin, who was intently watching Zabuza's fight against Kakashi. He was so intent on it that he didn't even notice Naruto's presence. What do I find here? What are Hunter Nin doing here? Naruto asked in his soft voice, with a hint of his trademark arrogance. Naruto could see the Hunter Nin's eyes widen in shock, and his body tense up. The Hunter Nin turned around to face Naruto, and the Hunter Nin's eyes widened again. You are the kid over there. I am a Kirigakure Hunter Nin, and I wasn't paying attention to the match, and was just waiting for an opportunity to kill Zabuza. The Hunter Nin replied in a calm voice, though Naruto could tell he was panicking. Naruto raised an eyebrow before smirking. Oh, I don't know, I'm accusing you of watching the match. I'm just asking what you're doing here, Naruto said with an arrogant smirk. The Hunter Nin cursed silently. Neck sweating more, right leg slightly moved back, to make it easier to dodge if I attack, right hand placed behind, meaning he's already holding a weapon to throw when he knows if I'm a problem or not. Breathing a little faster, eyes not blinking at all, a sign of lying, Naruto continued. He saw the Hunter Nin preparing to attack. Standard Hunter Nin procedure is, Hunter Nin always go in groups of 4, and you are alone. Am I right, fake Hunter Nin? Or should I say, Zabuza's subordinate? With that, the Hunter Nin threw the 3 sunbon he already had in his hand at Naruto's vitals. Naruto jumped to the side, then spun around, throwing 3 shuriken at the Hunter Nin. The Hunter Nin easily dodged them. Naruto looked at him while raising an eyebrow. Hunter Nin are usually jounin. From your speed and chakra, I can guess you are a high chunin. Naruto analyzed again. He took out Kyuka Suigetsu from its sheath. His right hand was in his pants pocket, while his left hand held Kyuka Suigetsu, while the Hunter Nin had already entered his own stance. Maybe we can play for a while, Naruto said with a grin. With that, Naruto and the Hunter Nin shot towards each other. Naruto stared at his opponent impassively. He wore a mask of impassiveness, though a smirk played across his lips. He stared calculatingly at his opponent. Sweaty hands, a sign of nervousness and uncertainty. A kunai bag on his right calf, a sign of a right-handed user. A stance that relies on speed and elasticity, meaning he's quite fast and has good accuracy. Sanban? Expert in medical ninjutsu then. Very loyal to Zabuza to the point of being willing to become a Hunter Nin for him. What a shame. I can't get him to join me, Naruto thought, listing everything he knew about his enemy. With all that, Naruto came to a conclusion. Right-handed user, expert in weapons and good accuracy. Quite fast, must be careful. Has medical knowledge and uses senbon, which means he knows human anatomy and will target human weaknesses. Okay. With that, Naruto threw a kunai at the Hunter Nin's head, causing the Hunter Nin to dodge, just as he had planned. When someone successfully dodges something, they immediately dart towards their enemy, trying to catch them off guard. Naruto briefly let go of his stance, and as he expected, the man immediately rushed towards Naruto with jounin speed, trying to end this fight as quickly as possible to help Zabuza. Unfortunately, Naruto was faster. Using Shuinpa, he disappeared, surprising the Hunter Nin. He appeared behind the Hunter Nin with Kyuka Suigetsu. He swung his sword, trying to cut him in the back, but the Hunter Nin had excellent reflexes and dodged, trying to distance himself from Naruto. Naruto grinned, planning to see how fast he was. He had the speed of a jounin, so it wouldn't be a problem for Naruto. He already had the information he needed, and all that was left was to make a plan. Naruto shot forward again, this time with Kyuka Suigetsu in his sheath behind him. He unsealed a kunai and swung it at the Hunter Nin's neck. Unfortunately, the Hunter Nin blocked Naruto's kunai with his senbon. Naruto tried to swing his other hand at his stomach, but unfortunately, it was also blocked. They were now locked. Naruto's face remained the same, with a smirk and an arrogant aura. He raised his knee and tried to slam it into the Hunter Nin's stomach, but the Hunter Nin did the same and blocked it. Naruto was still grinning. Quite a fun guy to fight. He wondered if he should toy with him, or just kill him, destroying all his hopes of defeating him and making him see that he had failed his master. Naruto shook his head. No. He wanted to play first. He wanted to test this kid's strength. This Hunter Nin was young, Naruto could tell, based on his voice. He estimated him to be around 14 years old. If he recruited this kid, he could become a promising soldier. He would see his strength first. Naruto made some hand seals. Suetun, Mizutepu. Water style, water pistol. Naruto then shot a ball of water from his mouth towards the Hunter Nin. The Hunter Nin easily dodged and dashed towards Naruto. He then engaged Naruto with taijutsu, and Naruto could see how frustrated he was when everything he did was blocked or dodged, even at full speed. The Hunter Nin jumped and tried to kick Naruto in the head, but Naruto just ducked. The Hunter Nin spun around in the air and tried to kick Naruto from above. Naruto jumped back, causing the Hunter Nin to kick the ground. The Hunter Nin didn't let up and threw 3 senbon at Naruto at lightning speed. Naruto then ducked by bending his body backward, allowing the senbon to pass over his head. After finishing, he had to jump back again when he saw his opponent was already in front of him and attempted to kick him. The Hunter Nin then launched a groundhog kick at Naruto's head with his left leg, but Naruto simply ducked. Realizing that it wasn't working, the Hunter Nin then swung his leg at Naruto's waist, attempting to kick him, but Naruto caught it. Realizing that his leg wouldn't let go, the Hunter Nin then jumped and swung his other leg at Naruto's head. Naruto had expected this and simply ducked, causing the Hunter Nin to spin around and return to his original position. He then pulled on the leg he had grabbed, sending the Hunter Nin charging towards him. Naruto swung his hand at the Hunter Nin's head, but the Hunter Nin ducked. Unsuccessful, Naruto then raised his knee and slammed it into the Hunter Nin's stomach, making the Hunter Nin cough in pain. He then punched him in the cheek, cracking his Hunter Nin mask. Not finished, Naruto performed a reverse roundhouse kick with his right leg, letting it slam into the Hunter Nin. The Hunter Nin flew hard and hit a tree because of Naruto's kick, and his lower mask was also cracked and shattered, leaving his lips visible. Naruto remained silent, one hand in his pocket, waiting for his opponent to stand back up. Not what I expected from the disciple of one of the 7 swordsmen of the mist. He mocked in a calm tone, but his opponent remained silent. He smiled. Oh, it was rare to meet an opponent who could resist a taunt. This guy was calm, just what he needed for a soldier. If only Sasuke wasn't so emotional. After his opponent stood up, Naruto disappeared with Shuinpa, surprising him and catching him off guard. He appeared in front of him and immediately delivered a kick to his stomach, sending him flying again. Naruto could see his lip was bleeding and wiped it away. He then ran and jumped, performing a flying back kick, where he jumped, spun around, and kicked his opponent with his ankle. The Hunter Nin blocked with both hands, sending him flying backwards slightly. He finally recovered and then charged straight at Naruto. He launched a middle roundhouse kick to his stomach, but Naruto blocked it with his hands. Unsuccessful, the Hunter Nin attempted a low reverse roundhouse kick, also known as a sweep kick, but Naruto simply jumped. While still in the air, the Hunter Nin immediately stood up from his sweep kick and attempted a kick to the side of Naruto's stomach, but was again blocked by Naruto. He then jumped and kicked Naruto in the side of the cheek. Naruto, still unprepared, was kicked and thrown to the side. While in the air, he spun around and landed on his feet. He grabbed a kunai and threw it at full speed at the Hunter Nin's head. The Hunter Nin was shocked, and then tilted his head. Unfortunately, the kunai didn't miss too far, as it still made a cut on his left cheek, leaving a long scratch on it and blood flowing from it. Naruto then made some hand seals, katan, enden, fire style, fireball. Naruto then exhaled a fireball that headed towards the Hunter Nin. Before the Hunter Nin could be shocked because a genin and a 13-year-old had 2 elements, he immediately made a hand seal to protect him. Suiton, Suian Suishir no Jutsu, water style, water transport dispatch formation technique. With that, the water from the lake near them immediately stood up and shot towards Naruto's fireball. Fire and water collided, creating a small explosion. The traces of their jutsu turned into mist that obscured Naruto's vision. Naruto looked everywhere, but there was no sign of his enemy. He then felt someone behind him and immediately turned his body back, just as the Hunter Nin swung his senbo to cut Naruto's head, and Naruto blocked it with a kunai that he quickly took. Now locked in a fight, Naruto and the Hunter Nin simply stared at each other, trying to overcome each other's strength. Naruto stared at the Hunter Nin emotionlessly and calmly, while the Hunter Nin looked at Naruto with desperation to defeat him and help his master. The Hunter Nin raised his other hand, making Naruto's eyes narrow slightly to see what he was going to do. And, to Naruto's shock, although he easily covered it up, the Hunter Nin made a single hand seal, Hyutan Hijitsu, Sensatsu Susho, ice-style secret technique, 1,000 flying water needles of death. And what shocked Naruto even more, the water around them, the remains of their jutsu, began to freeze and floated upwards, becoming thousands of needles, and shot at full speed towards Naruto. Naruto then performed Shuinpa to move away from his position, and made thousands of ice needles stick into the ground where Naruto had been. Hayutan, Naruto muttered. An interesting talent you have. Naruto complimented, but the Hunter Nin remained silent. Naruto wanted to dash again, but he saw a huge wave of water, like a small tsunami, rushing towards him and his opponent. He performed Shuinpa and appeared in a tree to avoid it. He saw Zabuza hit by a tree, about to be killed by Kakashi. Unfortunately, the Hunter Nin had already killed him first with a senbon stabbed into his neck, and then shunshined him out with Zabuza. Kakashi looked confused and let it go. Naruto noticed his clone looked tired. He then dispelled his clone, just in time to perform Shuinpa to take its place. Well, looks like we'll finish our fight later, Naruto thought. Kakashi-sensei, are you okay? He asked with fake concern. Kakashi looked at him with a smile. Well, it looks like Zabuza is dead, and Naruto, I'm fine. I just need. Before Kakashi could finish his sentence, he had already fallen unconscious. Kakashi-sensei, Natsumi and Tatsuki exclaimed worriedly, while Naruto only pretended to be shocked, and Sasuke just didn't care. Naruto walked over to Kakashi and checked his pulse, even though he knew he was only unconscious. Just fainted from chakra exhaustion, he announced to his team. He then turned to Tazuna. Can we go straight to your house, Tazuna-san? Naruto asked. Tazuna nodded. Okay, my house is just a short distance from here. Come with me. With that, Tazuna led Team 7 to his house. Naruto lifted Kakashi and looked at Natsumi. Natsumi-chan, can I ask for help in making a Kage Bunshin to lift Kakashi-sensei? Naruto asked politely and with his charming smile that would make all women obey immediately. Natsumi's cheeks blushed, while Tatsuki just pouted. Natsumi nodded. Okay, Nichan. With that, Natsumi made a hand seal, Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, shadow clone technique. With a puff of smoke, a copy of Natsumi appeared. Natsumi's two clones then picked up Kakashi and carried him. Naruto smiled at Natsumi. Thank you, Natsumi-chan, he said. Natsumi just blushed. It's okay, she muttered. They then followed Tazuna to his house. For a few minutes, they all just walked in silence. They arrived at Nami no Kuni and saw the dire state of the village. Children were everywhere trying to pickpocket and steal food. Bandits were drunk. The town was impoverished and terrorized. They could only stare sadly at the people. After a few more minutes of walking, they finally arrived at a house that wasn't too big, but not too small either. Tazuna knocked on her door. Tsunami, it's me, Tazuna exclaimed. A few seconds later, the door opened, revealing a beautiful woman with long black hair and fair skin. She looked to be around 20 years old. Tsunami, Naruto assumed her name, immediately hugged Tazuna. "Tu-san, you're back!" she exclaimed happily. Tazuna smiled and chuckled. "Of course, Tsunami," Tazuna replied. He then released his hug and addressed Team 7. "Meet Tsunami. This is the great ninja who protected me. Their team leader is currently unconscious from exhaustion from fighting someone. His name is Hatake Kakashi. The black-haired woman is Uchiha Tatsuki, while the other woman is Namikaze Natsumi. The black-haired man is Uchiha Sasuke, and the other man is Namikaze Naruto," Tazuna introduced. Naruto stepped forward, took Tsunami's hand and kissed the nape of her hand. "It's an honor to meet you, Tsunami-san," Naruto said, making Tsunami blush. Tsunami could only nod. "Why you too, Namikaze-san?" Naruto just smiled and broke the kiss. "May we come in?" he asked politely. Tsunami just nodded, and then led them into her house. "Okay, there are 2 empty rooms upstairs. Maybe your sensei can use them," Tsunami said. Naruto nodded. He then turned to Natsumi. "All right, Natsumi-chan, leave sensei to me. I'll take him upstairs." Natsumi could only nod and hand Kakashi over to Naruto. Naruto carried Kakashi to an empty room. Once there, he created a Kage Bunshin to place the futon on the floor of the room, allowing Kakashi to rest. After finishing, Naruto heard the door open, revealing Sasuke with his emo look. He looked at Kakashi and then looked at Naruto again. "Is it true that Kakashi fainted from chakra exhaustion?" Sasuke asked. Naruto just raised his eyebrows. "Didn't I already say that?" Naruto asked back. Sasuke just shrugged. "You like to lie sometimes," he said casually. Naruto chuckled. "Sure, Sasuke. Sure. He muttered. Yeah, Kakashi's just out of chakra. Estimated time of waking up? About tomorrow. Naruto explained. Sasuke nodded. Naruto then walked to the door again, wanting to leave. But before he could, Sasuke asked one more question. Where are you going? Sasuke asked. Naruto paused. He didn't say anything. For a few seconds, they were silent, until finally Naruto answered in a whisper. Doing something? Something? He muttered. Sasuke just raised an eyebrow. Won't Natsumi and Tatsuki get suspicious if you just leave? Sasuke asked again. Even though Sasuke now admitted that he was Naruto's subordinate, Naruto still didn't tell him what Naruto was doing. Paranoid bastard, Sasuke thought jokingly. They won't notice me. I created an illusion, giving them the impression that I was in the house, even though I wasn't, Naruto replied. Before Sasuke could ask any more questions, Naruto disappeared into Shuinpa, leaving behind a slight humming sound. Somewhere in Wave, Naruto reappeared in the midst of the miserable city of Nami no Kuni. Naruto looked around. These people were too pathetic. They couldn't protect themselves and had to rely on others to save them. Seeing Gato, Naruto had a plan. Although he initially wanted to get revenge on Gato for what he did to Daisuke, Naruto stopped the plan. If Gato was still useful, why make him die? Gato was one of the richest men in the world. Even with that, Gato had a lot of use for Naruto. Naruto still needed a significant amount of money to build Las Noches. Naruto could kill Gato and take all his money, but that would be too suspicious and draw too much attention to himself, making his plan fail. Naruto calmly walked through the city, his hands in his pockets. He felt all eyes focused on him. Naruto simply ignored them. He needed to find information on Gato's whereabouts, and the perfect place to do so was a bar, of course. Naruto spotted a fairly large bar ahead, and a grin spread across his handsome face. Without further ado, he made his way over to it. When Naruto opened the bar door, he saw a group of bandits inside. Everyone was drinking beer, chatting loudly and laughing. He assumed they were Gato's bandits. None of them seemed to recognize Naruto, which was a good thing for him. Naruto walked towards his booth and sat down there. The bar owner, seeing Naruto, gave Naruto a snort. Are you lost, little boy? The bar owner asked in a mocking tone. Naruto just smirked. Be careful with your words, sir, Naruto said softly. Before the bar owner could reply, Naruto had already released a quarter of his Ryatsu, making the bar owner feel a sense of pressure. The bar owner's eyes widened when he sensed Naruto's Ryatsu, which he mistook for killing intent. He felt extremely scared and struggled to breathe. I am sorry, sir. What do you need? He asked politely and fearfully. Naruto released his Ryatsu and smiled in satisfaction. I need information, Naruto whispered. The bar owner nodded. Naruto then continued. About Gato. The bar owner immediately swallowed his saliva in fear and sweat. Sorry, sir. But before he could continue his sentence, he felt Naruto's Ryatsu again, which was now even more intense, making him very afraid and having difficulty breathing. Oh, okay, he said resignedly, and Naruto released his Ryatsu. The bar owner then approached Naruto and whispered, what do you want to know? He asked fearfully. Naruto just smiled. Gato's whereabouts. He answered simply. The bar owner widened his eyes. He then looked left and right, trying to see if any of Gato's men had heard him or not, and then whispered to Naruto. Last I heard, Jagato was running a female slavery business and is currently in his castle 2 kilometers north. That's all I know, sir, the bar owner replied in a panic. Naruto smiled contentedly. Thank you, he said with a gentle smile. Before the bar owner could continue walking, Naruto stabbed a kunai into his throat, causing the bar owner's eyes to widen in shock, and then his body fell lifeless. And goodbye, Naruto continued. Unfortunately, the sound of the bar owner's body falling was heard by all the bandits, making all the bandits look towards Naruto. Naruto just stared at them emotionlessly. The entire bar was silent, until finally the silence was broken by one of the bandits. Oi, little one, you killed Goriai. He was one of the boss's favorites, he exclaimed, the other bandits nodding in agreement. How about we teach them a lesson, boys? He exclaimed, earning laughter from all the bandits. They then stood up from their chairs and walked towards Naruto. Naruto just stood there, emotionless. Assuming that Naruto was silent out of fear, one of the bandits laughed. "Are you scared, brat? Are you going to cry to your mother?" One of the bandits taunted, making everyone laugh. Naruto remained silent, then grinned. That grin terrified the bandits. Before they could do anything, Naruto had already drawn Kyuka Suigetsu from its sheath and activated its Shurikai. All the bandits knew was that they were constantly mocking Naruto in the illusion created by Kyuka Suigetsu, while the real Naruto was wounding all the bandits with his sword. This is the beauty of Kyuka Suigetsu. While Naruto has his Shurikai activated, he can injure or even kill someone without them even realizing it. He can cut off a head and injure everyone. However, this is all just an illusion. Only if Naruto stops his Shurikai will the effects of his actions begin to manifest. The injuries he caused will then manifest and affect his victims. Finished, Naruto then turned to his position. Naruto then grinned at them while muttering, "Shatter, Kyuka Suigetsu." With that, the illusion broke, and the bandits could be seen with wounds all over their bodies, and some had their heads cut off, causing them to die instantly. As all the bandits fell to their knees, Naruto calmly walked past them. Even if some of the bandits were still alive, they wouldn't survive, as Naruto had severed their internal organs and caused them to bleed profusely. Naruto walked out of the bar with a satisfied smile on his lips. It was time to visit Gato and give him nightmares. With that, Naruto disappeared with Shuinpa. A few minutes later, Naruto entered Gato's office, which he had found using his sensor abilities. Naruto still hadn't killed all the guards and bodyguards in the palace. No, he had actually killed them with his Shurikai, but he hadn't released it yet, so their wounds hadn't yet taken effect. Naruto kicked the door open, startling Gato, who was standing there. Gato looked shocked and immediately ordered his two bodyguards to arrest Naruto. Naruto simply had a satisfied grin on his face. He then dropped Kyuka Suigetsu's illusions on the two bodyguards with a snap of his fingers to give Gato the impression that he was incredibly powerful. With a snap of Naruto's fingers, Gato saw his two bodyguards seemingly shatter like glass, replaced by headless, wounded corpses. Gato's face immediately turned pale. "A nice room decoration, I'd say," Naruto said politely. The smile remained on his face, as his eyes roamed around Gato's office. "Ah, an expensive painting by Ryusuke Kando? I'm not too surprised," Naruto continued. Naruto then pulled up a chair in front of Gato and sat down. He sat there, crossing his legs. Naruto then turned to Gato. "Tea?" Naruto asked politely. Gato remained there, gaping in shock, trying to figure out what Naruto was talking about. Seeing that Gato wasn't going to answer, Naruto simply smiled. "Okay. What do why you want?" Gato asked scared. Naruto gave Gato a funny look because Gato was so scared he might pee his pants. "Ah yes," Naruto began. "We have a lot to discuss," he continued, the arrogant smile still on his face. Gato just stood there in fear, before he finally smiled like a maniac. "Do you think that's all my bodyguards are, little one? You're wrong, guard." Gato then pressed a button on his desk, sounding the alarm in the palace. Naruto just stared at Gato in amusement. That guy was so stupid. Didn't he think the guards would be here for a while? Didn't it ever cross his mind that he could just keep him as his hostage? Naruto could conjure up several other scenarios in his head where he could just kill Gato, hide his body, and henge to become Gato. Seriously, even ninjas have a hard time detecting a henge, and Gato's palace guards are all bandits and samurai. Naruto snorted in disgust. This guy really has no intelligence. Gato just stood there, thinking he had already won, evident by the smirk on his lips and the maniacal expression on his face. Naruto calmly leaned forward, then propped his face up with his chin, while his legs were still folded. Naruto looked Gato in the eye, and Naruto could sense that Gato was very confused as to why he was afraid. And when he then felt the door open again, and dozens of guards were seen, Naruto only whispered a word, which only Gato could hear. "Shudder, Kyuka Suigetsu." With that, all the guards shattered like glass, and all the bodies everywhere fell with many wounds. Gato turned white again and widened his eyes in shock. "I trust we can discuss this soon?" Naruto asked politely, his tone sounding mocking to Gato. Gato quickly said, "Okay, sir." Gato didn't want him to die, and it was better to discuss this matter with the little boy, and then betray him later. "Now, shall we begin?" Naruto asked again. Seeing Gato nod, Naruto interrupted, I have a proposition for you. Naruto continued calmly. This proposition is one-sided as I will have all the benefits. Before Gato could protest, Naruto interrupted. Unless of course you don't value your life. He continued sarcastically, and Gato turned pale and silent again. Naruto then took a contract paper from his pocket and handed it to Gato. As Gato read it, Naruto could see the anger and fear on his face. Before Gato could protest again, Naruto interrupted. Of course you can tear up the contract if you value your life. That made Gato shut up. Gato then signed the paper. He began plotting in his head. If this project was completed, he could betray her and claim it was his own. But he couldn't see the loopholes in this contract. Of course, if you break our agreement, I will know. I have ears everywhere and eyes everywhere. Make no mistake, Naruto said. Although he said it calmly, he released his Ryatsu a little to scare Gato. Naruto started plotting. He knew that Gato would not agree, and agreed only out of fear. He knew that Gato would betray him and hire ninjas to assassinate him. But he was a very clever and cunning person. With a little blackmail, he could make Gato obey him. He could also show Gato the head of his assassin, making people afraid. Indeed, controlling people because they fear you is easier than controlling people because they respect you. After all, what's the point of taking so long to gain someone's respect just to control them, when you can control them if they fear you? With that thought in mind, Naruto knew his business with Gato would go smoothly. Good day indeed.